Wednesday on Foul Territory Live, aka FT Live. I feel like we are the Baltimore Orioles. We have debuts every other day.
We need some good celebrations like they have too.
True, we'll get to that.
Like we need to come up with one for Brock Holt when he comes on. He likes, he likes the beer bong.
Does he? Well, let's clap it up.
I dabble.
As we do, our debut of the day. Welcome Brock Holt to the Foul Territory team. Great to see you. Who's behind you? Who you got behind you?
That's Brock Holt. That's
Boom.
Brock Holt. That's
There
Brock
it is.
Holt and little Brock Holt. Yeah. That's me and Griff after we won the World Series in 2018. One of the coolest pictures I think ever taken. But I tell everyone, I've got the number one. I'm pointing to some fans in the outfield, and it looks like Griff's doing the same thing, but he's actually pointing at the helicopters in the sky. So not the same, but cool moment for me and him to share, and got it painted, and it'll be on the wall forever.
Crassy, did you play against Holt? A little Yankees Red Sox action?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We were
Did you
teammates
talk?
together.
Did you talk
for 2
shit
days.
to him? Oh, you were teammates.
Two
with
whole
him.
days, huh?
Wow.
Two whole days.
Brock always took the days off whenever I was catching. He knew I had it. I was in there. I was in his head. So he never hit when I was catching. So
There were a lot of guys in my head when I was in the box. So.
wait, I'm pretty sure Brock. When did you hit for the cycle?
It's been multiple occasions.
Yeah,
AJ.
I mean,
Been multiple occasions.
No, what were your occasions with the cycle?
I hit one at home at Fenway against the Braves,
Yep,
and then I
that
hit
was me.
one.
You're welcome.
Yep. And then I hit one against the Yankees in the postseason. So.
Okay, the Braves. You're welcome. I should get a cut of that.
I don't know if you were catching that day. I think it was Lavarnway.
What was that? 15?
You weren't an everyday guy? I thought you were an everyday guy.
I was.
No, I think it was a day game getaway. He was probably resting. He was probably up in the clubhouse with his
feet
with
up,
his feet up.
smacking some ice cream. No, I'm like Gabe Kapler, dude. I only put it in my mouth and then I spit it out.
By the way, might as well continue the theme because it was a big deal yesterday. Brock Holt, who wins in a fight? Phil Nevin, our guest from yesterday, or Gabe Kapler, manager of Ross Stripling, our guest from yesterday?
Yeah, I was actually watching you guys debate this, and I don't think it's a debate. I think Phil Nevin. I think he just dominates.
You don't even think it's a debate?
I don't
Gabe
think
Kapler's a house.
Well, he's a house, but I mean, you can be a house, and I mean, I don't know. I don't see it in Gabe Kapler to be a fighter. I could be wrong. But
yeah, I'm sure he's gotten in fights.
I got Gabe Kapler being a little soft underneath the outer shell.
Kind of like the guy to my right here.
You don't know that.
I don't know. You guys have similar body types.
Yeah, I run these streets in Orlando.
Do you? Hey, be careful. Paul Pierce found out got stabbed one time.
Oh, shit.
And Charles Barkley
not like
threw a
that.
guy through a window here.
That's all in Orlando?
Oh, dude, Orlando's got a long history of people doing dumb shit.
Well, what I do is then I run to the gate and I close the gate.
See,
I've got the clicker for the gate. Do something shitty and then run and close the gate.
You have. So we used to have this old coach named Erik Rasmussen. He was our minor league coach, pitching coach for a long time. And when we played against Gabe Kapler, he used to say he had prison body. Because in prison, you only do bench press, and you only do arms. No one does squats, so he had the little tiny legs and the big body. So you'd be like, no, he called it prison body. Though. He's like, oh, here he comes, prison body.
I think
I'd take Gabe Kapler's body, no doubt.
So it's Scott.
I'd take his body, but I don't know. Phil Nevin, I see him taking that easy.
So we have a gem of a guest list today. Joe West. The Joe West joining us. Haven't heard from him in a minute. So can he talk?
He won't shut up.
Okay.
I mean, when I called him to come on, I'm like, Joe, I got to go. It's 9:00 at night. Like, you've been talking to me for 2 hours. Like, the only time you ever talked to me was you were rejecting me. Like, hold on. Like, I got to go to bed.
So, Joe, the Tampa Bay Rays are still undefeated. Brandon Lowe, who homered yesterday on a first pitch changeup in the 5th inning, is going to join us and talk about the celebrating they're doing and the lead that they're creating in the East. And then Jen McCaffrey does a great job writing for The Athletic, covers the Red Sox. So we got Brock Star with all the Red Sox stuff behind him. We'll talk to Jen coming up in a little bit, too, about a team that, I mean, anybody's falling behind. If you lose a game, you're falling behind right now because the Rays don't stop winning at the moment. But Red Sox Rays today, and we got the foul territory group chat with the betting going on, and we're texting around, and like one of our guys who's been the hottest, he thinks today's the day.
I think
You think
my
today's
boy
the day?
Chris Sale, Brock's boy Chris Sale, slinging that stuff from over here. Lefty slinger. He's had some good history in Tampa also.
Don't tell that
Sale, and then you've got a rookie making his debut right for the Rays. So
yeah. I mean, Brandon Lowe might have that day off against Chris Sale. We heard Jason Kipnis the other day say, "Oh, Sale's pitching. Now my back got a little sore." I mean, there might be some boys. Brandon Lowe might have some Sale-itis today.
Yeah, there's some tight hamstrings. There's some tight hamstrings walking into the trop today for sure.
They're still favored, Kratzy. They're minus 130. The Rays. It's not steep, but Red Sox at plus 110 for their game at 6:40 Eastern. So we'll get to that with Lau. Let's lead things off before we get to Jen here and start with the Miami Marlins, baby. At least while they're playing decent ball, you got to cover those kind of teams because you know how it is. Like Nats, Rockies, Marlins, the teams that have struggled for years, A's, you got to give them love early because come July, August, September, you might not even know they exist on this show because we like to talk about relevance. And right now they're relevant. Luis Urias, cycle. And hey, I'm not the biggest cycle person. I don't know.
We have one on here that apparently has two.
That's true.
Multiple.
Yeah, including postseason.
Postseason, the only one ever. So
I was there.
So Luis Urias, he can come talk to me when he hits one in the postseason. All right.
He's been a Marlin for 12 games, and also, yeah, he can come talk to you when he hits one in the postseason because then I don't think you're ever going to have a conversation with Luis Urias. Can we show the tweet one more time? I want to read it out because I didn't have it on my screen. Throw it up there one more time. There it is. Jason Stark. The Marlins have been around for 30 years. 548 different hitters had come to the plate wearing their uniform before tonight. They had combined for 0 cycles. Luis Urias has been a Marlin for 12 games. Urias 1 cycle. Everyone else, not a cycles. I think he's going to be great with Miami, Kratzy. And I think it actually was a great baseball trade, which I appreciate. That offseason deal, Pablo Lopez goes to the Twins. He's been great with them. And Urias is special as a hitter. And the Marlins offense has been bottom of the barrel for a long time. So good for them when we at least look at it from the team perspective.
For sure. I think both teams are getting good players, but like whose radar is it making a bigger blip on? Luis Urias normally just, hitting 310 with like a 350 OPS. I mean, a 350 on base percentage, or is it Pablo Lopez who just absolutely shoves and helps a team that is pretty much a playoff team to me take that next step to be the division winner? Like, I think the Twins got the better part of that deal. But I think it's cool, and hitting for the cycle, that's unbelievable. Brock, well, I got to tell you, you hit for 2 cycles.
He forgot to pay his bill.
Oh, he gone.
He gone.
He gone.
I wonder what he's going to tell you something, Brock. He was definitely telling you something.
He was coming for about the cycle.
I like how we leave up the Kratz face for a few minutes just on YouTube. I actually appreciate that.
There he is.
I like it.
Oh.
What do you think about, what Marlins fans have been through? And I'm actually I don't know if I'm going to agree or disagree with Kratz because it's so early on. I like both players. I thought it was a trade that made sense for both sides. Twins wanted a mid-range to upper level starter in their rotation in Lopez. And for the Marlins, like, their offense has been terrible for years. They haven't been able to develop any position player prospects. So in my mind, Brock, thought it was a great trade. I don't know if I'm going to be able to grade. It's going to take a while. Which team won the trade? Right now, I would pretty much say it's equal as a win for both sides.
Yeah, I think where the Twins were needing that arm, I think it's perfect for them. It's hard. It would be hard for me to trade a batting champ that plays every single day. I know AJ's big on the starting pitchers. They only play once every 5 days. You need them. You need good starting pitchers to go deep into the season, into the postseason, and end up winning. But it would be hard for me to get rid of a guy like Luis Urias and the way he, puts at bats together and gets on base and gets big hits when you need them. Like you said, it's early, but I think both teams, I think both teams are going to come out on top on this one.
Here's the thing for me with Urias leaving. The Twins didn't have a hitting problem last year. They had a we can't get anybody out problem, right? So they needed that starting pitcher. And if you always have to give up something to get something. And in order to you had to give up Luis Urias, who isn't, listen, he won the batting title. He killed it in the WBC. Let's not forget. Now he's found a power stroke from the WBC. So it'll help the Marlins because, like you said, Scott, the Marlins have had a hard time scoring runs for years. But the Twins had a pitching problem. Remember, they had Archer, Dylan Bundy, all these guys last year that could go 4 innings, and then they had to rely on their bullpen. That's why they were terrible last year. Their record was terrible. But Lopez can go innings. He gave him, 7, I think, last night? Quality innings, left with the lead. And then you have Sonny Gray in there. You have these guys now with the Twins. Their starting pitching is much better, which makes them a much bigger threat. And losing Luis Urias, he was kind of out of position. He was playing first base, not really a first baseman, didn't profile as a first baseman. So I feel like it's going to help the Twins more, but it's good for the Marlins, man. Let's get some stars in there and let's see some guys do some stuff for the Marlins, score some runs, make the East tougher.
They picked up Tyler Mahle last year. The Twins, Kenta Maeda's back. It's a very different looking rotation.
It's a different looking team for me.
Yeah.
Joe Ryan.
Gallo just hit the injured list.
He wasn't hitting anything else.
No, he wasn't. That's true. Good call.
Joey Gallo's a streaky guy, though, man. Whenever he gets hot, he gets hot, and he doesn't get out. He hits homers. He does everything. But, obviously everybody knows Joey Gallo's he's gonna strike out. But I loved that signing for them because I think a fresh start for him. Get him out there. He plays good defense. He runs the bases. He's a good teammate. I think Minnesota's going to be a good spot for Joey in the long run.
People thought he was going to explode in New York. Short porch, playing with all the bashers, could kind of just fit in lower down in the lineup, and they were like, "Oh, it's Joey and it's Rizzo."
He actually did well when he went to LA, though.
He did okay. I think he did well.
He did better than
a couple weeks, and then.
But here's the thing: when you play in a place like Texas, where he came up,
yeah.
I played in Texas. Brock, I think you played in Texas.
I did.
Right?
I did. Yep, I did.
There's not a lot of dude. It's a Cowboys town. Listen, they're there. They come support you. But when you look at the newspaper every day, they're talking Cowboys. The Rangers are kind of back. I don't want to say back page, but a little bit lower on the totem pole.
Is that good?
There's no pressure.
Yeah.
Go play. Have fun.
Yeah.
You go to New York. You go to Boston. Guess what? Every move you make, there's somebody saying, "Well, why'd you eat your sandwich that way? Why'd you do this and why'd you do that?" That doesn't happen in Texas, right? So that is a big thing. And then he got off to a bad start.
Yeah,
which is the worst thing you can do in one of those places because then they're just waiting to call for your head.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean he's getting booed. 2 games in. Texas, you play the game, you strike out 3 times, you go in the clubhouse, you take a shower, you eat dinner, you go home. You don't have to answer any questions about it. It's different. It's different in different places, and Joey kind of experienced that, and that's why I think Minnesota is going to be a good fit for him. I think he's going to help that team.
Let's jump up to Toronto. So that game was fun. Blue Jays fell behind early on. Tigers, I think, went up 3-0, and then they scored 9 in a row, 5 homers. Also, and they brought the fences in. I'm sure you'll have a comment on that.
Mm-hmm. But they made a bandbox even smaller.
Go ahead.
Dude, the ball flew in Toronto anyways. Like, listen, you could just flick balls out of there into like the third deck in BP. It was like boop, 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 homer, right? So then they bring the fences in and they lower the fences. Good luck, pitchers.
Lowering the fences is awesome for me.
Well,
Kratzy.
yeah.
And
now all those homers, people are going to have a chance to catch them now.
Exactly.
Like Kevin Kiermaier.
And here's Shai Davidi saying, 5 homers. That's a home opener, too. I was like, damn, we've been like 2 weeks into the season. They haven't been home yet? Holy shit. They've gone through enough over the last few years, too. I feel like they're never home. So they're finally back. Kratz, they're hitting a ton of homers. So 2 things for me. 1, I love lowering the wall to 8-ish feet because that gives everyone a chance for home run robbery, which is one of the coolest plays in the sport. The other question I have, though, strategically, Kratz, is did we need to bring in the fences and create more power in Toronto? Baltimore just did the opposite, and it looks like it's helped them as a ball club. It's helping them recruiting pitchers. As it is, it's tough to recruit players to get them to go up to Toronto, eat up all the taxes, be in a different country, deal with the passport stuff. And now it's oh, hey, do you want to just give up a ton of rockets? I don't know if that helped the team strategically. I don't really know why they did it.
I am not sure. I feel like it was completely outside of the scope of what the team's success needs to be. You look at a team like the Royals, their entire minor leagues, they just try to develop absolute horses that just run everything down in that huge outfield. So now as an organization with the Blue Jays, are you like, hey, we got a bunch of, like, are they making, is this like a strategic move to say, hey, Vladdy, Bo, Gavin, like all these guys, are you guys, you're going to resign here because now we're playing in the smallest park, in all of baseball. I mean, before it was a Homer Dome. Now it's like Great American Small Park.
So, well, here's the thing. It already led the majors in home runs last year. And I think I read where if they're bringing him in would have added like 20 more or 19 more homers to where they brought him into. So it's even going to be more home runs.
Why would they do that? I didn't read enough into it. I read about it in the offseason. I just don't remember what all the reasoning was for. I get trimming the wall down. Everyone should have that.
Well, they did it because they moved the bullpens. Did you see what they did? They basically remodeled the whole stadium. So they took the bullpens, and they used to be buried behind the wall. They lifted them up. So now the bullpen is kind of in play where you can see it. And they brought the fans closer because there was a huge gap in Toronto. There was like a 10 or 20 foot gap between the wall and the fans. So they brought the fans closer. They moved the walls in. They moved the bullpens. It looks way better. And I like the blue line they have now on the out. It looks way cooler than what it did. Aesthetically looking. Now, as far as what it's going to play, and there's going to be a lot of over bets on MGM for us with the Blue Jays.
Hell yeah. But don't you think it hurts recruiting, though, Brock? Like your friends that are pitchers. It's already tough enough to get guys to go up there. And now you're going to present them with maybe the not number one, but a top 5 hitting ballpark. Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's tough. I mean, I think that's tough, for pitchers. I mean, for anyone to go to Toronto. Toronto's a great city, unbelievable city. But to be in Canada, like you said, the taxes, the 2 national anthems every game. That's what got me every time we played the Blue Jays. We had to stand on the line for 14 minutes, and then we had to re-stretch, because we were listening to both national anthems. But yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be hard to get pitchers up there, but maybe I guess if you score enough runs, you don't really need the pitching. But I love it. I think it's great. I think it looks cool. I think that ballpark needed a little more to it because it was pretty plain. But I like what they've done with it. I think probably Vladdy will be happy with it. So maybe you sign him long term. But all the parks in the East, other than the Trop, are pretty good places to hit. So Blue Jays just made theirs a little bit better now.
Let's see. So you see all the dimensions.
Is there any way that they're like not using it the same way they used to? Because I don't know if you guys ever saw it, but they used to, as soon as we would leave, they would roll all the turf up and they would use it as like a multi-purpose stadium. Now that they moved all this stuff around, I wonder if they're using it less and less as multi-purpose and just for baseball, because with all these new dimensions, that's why it was so just cookie cutter uniform, because they could roll all the fences out and roll all the turf out. And then when we come back, they'd put the turf back. And that's why the turf was sometimes when you play like super just smashed down because it was just rolled up on top of each other.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Get a Blue Jay on the phone. Let's find out.
No.
Congrats.
Yeah. I don't know.
They don't
Call
know
Russell
either.
Martin.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that the first Blue Jay you think of, Russell Martin?
Yep.
Russell Martin.
I think of Jose Bautista.
Really?
In modern times, actually, if we're going a little further back, I think of
Carlos Delgado.
What,
He hit a
why?
ball
What's
off
wrong
us
with
one
that?
time in there, the restaurant. He hit it on top of the restaurant off Kyle Loesch, and I remember catching, and I was like, holy cow, that ball's still going.
Yeah.
No way it's going to go. No way. Boink off the top of the restaurant, 410 feet. I'm like, no way.
Delgado was a truck.
He was unbelievable.
Yeah, he was incredible. Underrated ball player. All right, next up, a few things before we get to Jen McCaffrey on the Red Sox. Shohei Otani, strong again, even though he's really hard on himself. 19 innings, 3 starts, 0.47 ERA. He said, I feel like the only issue right now is walks. Yeah, his command looks off, and it doesn't even matter for him right now.
His stuff is disgusting.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. You watch him, okay, so we watched him in the WBC, Brock. You watched him in the WBC. The stuff he was throwing, but now he's just carried that over to the regular season. And the thing for him has always been walks. He's not walking a lot of guys right now.
I thought he's got a – let me look
but not like he was. The whole key – from the games I've watched in the past, people would wait him out and he'd walk you. Now he's not doing that, and he's just mowing through teams. And it's I don't want to hit off him. I don't know about
5 walks last night.
Yeah, but
and 4 that start before. That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of walks. I think
for him though, he's like boom. He's more efficient maybe.
It's his splitter.
Yeah.
If you could just not swing at his splitter, you'd probably walk every time. But it's impossible to take that pitch because it looks like a fastball. Yeah, I mean, I've had the privilege of standing in the box against him, and it's not fun. But he's an unbelievable athlete, obviously, power hitter, can run like the wind. But yeah, he's different on the mound.
And the ump thought he was cheating.
Yeah, what an idiot.
Yeah,
dude, yeah. He's been on the mound for what? This is his 3rd start of the season,
and he's got his pitch come
it's under his armpit, and he uses it like a. I said it a couple weeks ago. Clearly, that ump's not paying attention to our show. He uses it like a game controller, like he's playing a video game. He's got the buttons memorized, and he clicks the button, and then he picks his pitches, and then he goes. It's a quicker, more efficient way to do things, especially because he has a million pitches. I know he's a gamer, so it's easy for him.
But it's better than having it on the belt, because I hate when the pitcher has it on their belt and they're like, "Is anybody looking?" Oh,
but no one else has done this.
No, that's
it's copied
smart, though.
Otani under the armpit. It probably is uncomfortable for some people, or also pitchers are worried that they're going to press the wrong button and then cross up their catcher.
Yeah, I'd be pissed about that.
You would, right? I mean, that's not fun for you. But
Otani, you push the button and doesn't it say something in your ear? Like, hey, oh, that's not the one I wanted. I'm going to push the different button.
Yeah, what happens if the pitch clock's running down? He's just pushing buttons and panic.
Right, he's got
fastball, change up, split, slider, sweeper,
well, yeah,
slutter.
Part of it. You better know where the buttons are.
Alfonso Marquez, by the way, was the guy behind the plate.
It was kind of funny.
Because
his face after
foreign substance. Hey, what is that? It's called a pitch com, Alfonso.
But after he realized what he did, his face was precious because Alfonso was kind of embarrassed. He's like, "Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm going to turn back, put my mask on. No one will see me again."
We got to ask Joe West later because he's joining the show about the foreign substance situation at its current status.
I can't believe Joe had to have kicked somebody out along the way for a foreign substance.
But that's new, though.
I mean back in the day, like Phil Necro's throwing files out of his pocket, right? Mm-hmm. Or Joe Necro, sorry, not Phil. I mean, Brock was on the team when Michael Pineda had the pine tar.
He had the pine tar neck. His neck was glistening in the light. I don't know that the foreign substance thing. I don't know how thorough the umpires are at checking that when they just go and they just tap your hands and
it's garbage.
I'm sure there's plenty of foreign substances still out there.
Yeah, rub my hand, Scott, and see if there's any foreign. You don't want to know what those things have been. That's about what they do. That felt kind of nice.
It's awkward.
Can you do that again? That was kind of nice.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, I don't want to it's just weird. I'm doing this full on check. Also, when I go to ump school, that's not what I signed up for. Now, do they do that at ump school now? Like you go to ump school and they go, "This is how you properly check the man on the mound."
So we can ask Hunter Wendelstedt. We can call him and get him on. I mean, he's a current umpire. We can find out. He runs an umpire school.
We should ask.
The Wendelstedt School of Umpiring.
I'm still going to ask Joe West just because I know he'll give me a good answer.
But Brock, I was done when they started doing this, but is there a degree of stickiness when they touch your fingers? So if I'm a pitcher and I go to the umpire, they're going to be a little sticky if you just use rosin. So is there like a degree?
How do you tell?
How do you tell?
6 degrees of stickiness.
I think it's been a huge fail, Brock, because we're not catching anyone. We know that guys are using stuff. You can tell there's data now where the league looks at it. You can look at the spin rate velocity correlation, and you can see that it plummeted when they first made that announcement, and it's been creeping back up like the stock market ever since.
And that stuff is, it's sticky. I didn't even know spider tack existed. And I felt it one time, and I'm telling you, I put it on my fingers, and I could hold a ball like this. And imagine like how much spin rate that adds. And we're having hitters meeting, and our hitting coaches are telling us, hey, you got to swing 3 balls above this guy's fastball to hit it. And I just want to raise my hand. I'm like, hey, do you realize that you're telling me I have to miss the ball in order to hit the ball? Like something fishy's going on here. Baseballs are doing stuff that they're not supposed to do, and it's back in there. There's foreign substances all over the place now, but you know what?
True. There's dudes cheating still.
How do you stop it?
You find a legal substance and you say, "Here's what you can all use."
Chocolates.
Chocolates. There you go. I got some. I
saw
tried.
I saw you.
I got some. It worked good. It worked good. It was a rainy day in Florida. We had Dan Duquette on, and he has this substance called chocolates, and Rich Hill talked about it. And I bought some on Amazon.
Yep.
And the other day we had our pitchers throwing bullpens, and it was raining. And I said, "Here, put some of this on your hand." And they were like, it was like an epiphany for them. They're like, "Whoa, this is unbelievable. Better than rosin." I'm like, and they're like, "What is this?" I'm like, "Super rosin."
Love that, but you're cool. You're like, I got something new.
Yeah.
But here's my problem, Kratzy. That's great. Here's a substance everyone can use, legal. It's good. It's not going to make spin rates crazy. But then I'm still Joe Schmo pitcher, and until you catch me, I'm going to supplement that with spider tack-ish stuff because no one's catching me.
Absolutely. I mean, that's really what it is. It's not guys who are like, man, I wonder how I can cheat. They're like, man, my stuff isn't quite as good as Garrett Cole, so I'm going to go and put some spider tack on. I'm going to Velcro the ball to my fingers. Like guys would do. You should have seen the COVID year at the alt site for the Yankees. It was like an absolute like spider tack convention. They had the Rapsodo or TrackMan info on the scoreboard in Scranton, like huge. And it was like dudes were ripping 3,200 RPM curveballs, and they were like radar checking, but they were like whipping their head around and look at the scoreboard to see what their RPMs were. The pitching coordinator they hired that year was like, that's all he was doing. He was like, here, try this. He was like spitting on their fingers and then like putting spider tack on these balls. And it was just like Rip City. I was like, what are we doing? Like, are we forgetting that we have to throw the ball over the strike zone? And I'm out there catching balls that are like bouncing in the other batter's box. It was exciting.
Like
I mean, but the same thing's going to happen when they use chocolates or they use the balls, whatever it is.
Sounds like you're talking about steroids, Kratzy. I'm going to do it until they catch me, and I'm going to make a lot of money. And then when they catch me, oh, well, I'm not sorry. I mean, nobody seems to care anymore. Nobody seems to care. Do steroids, you get to get cool positions all the time.
People care about steroids. I mean,
they don't care that much. Look at the people that have done steroids and where they are in Major League Baseball. Yes. I'm just going to leave it. I'm not going to call anybody out, but there's a lot of them that are on positions that did things.
Fair.
Your first day, you have to call one steroid user out. That's the rule in the show.
That's the hazing show. Okay.
I'm kidding, Brock.
Barry Bonds.
Hey, you don't know.
Barry Bonds should still be in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion.
Okay.
Well, table that because this is the first of many Brock Holt appearances. Our first guest joining us right now from The Athletic. She covers the Red Sox every damn day. Jen McCaffrey joining us right now. Jen, we appreciate the time. Great to talk to you. I actually want to flip that over to you really quick. The conversation we were just having because Alfonso Marquez thought that Shohei Otani might be using a foreign substance and finds out that he just has like a video game controller under his armpit for pitch comm. So great to have you on, but also wanted to get your thoughts on how do you stop foreign substances? Because to me, it has not been cracked at all and solved, and it just keeps going up again, the spin rates.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think AJ was saying it just a few minutes ago, like you see the umpires checking the guy's hands, but it doesn't really even look like they're doing that much. I don't know, like you said, maybe you just give guys one substance across the board that, everyone can use. But I don't know, guys are going to look for advantages any way they can. Like this is the name of the game. Guys have done this for, decades. This is how you kind of get ahead in the game, is looking for any sort of advantage you can. So, yeah, we've seen pitching, these spin rates go through the roof lately, and obviously offense has suffered. But the league has to figure something out, and it doesn't seem like it's quite there yet.
Jen, we talked about this earlier. I don't know if you could hear us or not. The Rays are 11-0. They're playing the Red Sox today. Chris Sale's back. We said that streak ends. Well, I did. I said I think the streak ends today because of Chris Sale. What have you seen from him since he's come back, and what are the Red Sox thinking about him for the future?
Yeah, he had a terrific spring training. Spring training obviously is spring training, but just where he's been in his career in terms of all the injuries and all the setbacks that he's had, from Tommy John to the broken pinky last year to the broken wrist, recovering from the pinky fracture, all these things. Having him come out in spring training and have a really strong spring training, and his fastball life was up to in the high 90s, up to 96, 97, maybe not where it was back in 16 and 17, but that was all promising. And then the season starts, and you can almost tell that there was a little bit of I don't want to say like a letdown, but you know how guys at the end of spring training end up getting a little tired. It seemed like maybe his energy ran out a tad bit at the start of the season, which is not what you want, obviously. And that first, start that he had at Fenway was brutal. And he said it was the most embarrassed he's felt on the field, in his career. So he's always been a stand-up guy. He always kind of tells it how it is, and just tells you when he sucks. And he did that first start. He came back and did pretty well against Detroit, and ended up, righting the ship a little bit. But again, Detroit's lineup isn't nearly what the Rays have been doing lately. So this is going to be another big test for him, and to see kind of where he is and how he's going to be able to bounce back here. So I think, this is a big one for him, and to see how he can, put together where is he? Is he somewhere, is he closer to that first start where he was really bad, or is he, getting closer to, this start that he just had against Detroit, I think it was Thursday, and, kind of figuring things out and getting better and finding more of the shape on his pitches, the shape on his slider, using the changeup and all that. I think, this is obviously a huge test. And like you said, the Rays being as hot as they are, trying to knock them down a peg is a monumental task, but it's gonna happen. They're not gonna go 162-0. So at some point they're gonna end up falling, and maybe Sale will be the one to kind of shut them down today. We'll see.
So has Sale grown up? Because usually when he had bad starts, he'd go in and break TVs and all that. Did he do any of that after his start?
So he still has that fiery attitude for sure. All the cutting up the jerseys and all that business, but breaking a TV in AAA last year when he was having a rehab start. But I think more of what I mean is just kind of coming out and like talking about how how his performance has been, and kind of how he feels about what he's been on the mound. I think you guys all know probably better than me, because you've been around him so much more, of just that fiery attitude that he has, how much of a competitor he is. And I think he's just obviously everyone has been frustrated with the way things have gone from him the past few years, but he's talked pretty candidly about how much of a struggle it's been mentally, of just being at the very top of your game and then kind of not being able to do it anymore, and having these injuries confront you. And all you guys kind of know that too, of just sometimes stuff like this happens, and he's trying to work his way back, and he's gotten there at points, and then you can see it. Obviously it's still a work in progress. It's not going to be a linear path to kind of coming back and shutting guys out right away. So like I said, this Rays game is going to be the start against the Rays tonight is going to be a big one for him, to see kind of the litmus test of kind of where he is in that progression of coming back.
Just keep him off the bike.
Yeah.
True.
Jen, what about, I want to talk about the article you wrote about Winkowski. I run into him when I was I don't even know what my role was. I was some kind of representative in the minor leagues for player development. And I really talked and sat down a lot with Wink, and his stuff I think is unbelievable. He had a heavy sinker. He was just really almost a one-pitch guy coming up through the minor leagues that had kind of that same fiery attitude. Tell me about the article that you wrote and like what the changes he's making and where it could lead him.
Yeah, so Josh Winkowski is one of the guys that they picked up in the deal from Kansas City for Andrew Benintendi a couple years ago. So kind of worked his way, up through the Red Sox system over the past year or so, and then last year debuted in the rotation when the Red Sox had all those rotation injuries around June of last year. and really got thrust into a situation that maybe he wasn't quite ready for. The Red Sox even admitted it. They had to kind of use a lot of guys that weren't quite, ready to pitch in the majors, whether it was Winkowski or, Cutter Crawford or even Brian Bayo. They have a lot of, guys in that kind of situation. And Winkowski just, he had a good couple of outings here and there, but by the end, you could tell it was just, it had gotten a little too much for him. Things started to snowball a little bit too much. He was trying to search for swings and misses, and obviously that's not a huge part of his game. He's kind of more of a pinpoint guy. So, he talked all about that. Ended the year with like a 5.89 ERA, and just was really disappointed with his rookie season and kind of working his way all the way up and then getting there and kind of being this mediocre, having mediocre results. And he was really frustrated by that. So he went into the offseason, kind of made a plan with the Red Sox, pitching coach Dave Bush and the Red Sox development staff, and really worked so he lives down in Fort Myers year round. He grew up in that area, went to high school down there, and he's lived there now. So he has access to not only the Red Sox coaches at JetBlue Park where the Red Sox are in spring training, but just all the facilities. And kind of, I think having that really helped him kind of hone in on a routine this offseason, not only to get stronger, but just to work on all these things that he wanted to change in his repertoire. Really, he kind of revamped a lot of things. So he worked with rehab minor league pitching coach Dan DeLucia down there at Fort Myers pretty much 5 days a week. And they were, they fixed his windup. They fixed his slider grip. They used like colored baseballs to try to figure out what kind of spin and grip he should use that was going to, get to where he wanted it to be. They increased his cutter usage. They decided to, kind of increase his sinker. So he kind of revamped a lot of what went into what he had done the rookie year that obviously didn't produce the results that he wanted. And this year he's been the best guy out of their bullpen, and has been deployed in varying, multi-inning roles, one-inning roles. So he's been really good for them. And I think, is a reason why they've, been in a few of these games here, even though they're having an uneven, start to the year or frustrating start to the year. He's helped them save some of the rest of the arms in the pen and also just put up really good numbers. And he's hoping, obviously, it's going to continue. So we'll see if he can keep it up the rest of the year.
Now, you were saying that he was down in Fort Myers doing this. Was he at the lab? Was he in their like new biomechanical lab that they put in?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, they at the park there at JetBlue Park. They have, that's been a big focus for them, is kind of building up JetBlue Park as sort of like one of their year-round facilities. I had done a story at the end of spring training and the beginning of this season that they had a huge focus of sort of not only building up their staff to kind of help their players get better, but also to try to keep building up JetBlue Park to make it sort of a year-round facility for all their guys, not just guys in extended spring training or guys in the Florida Complex League, but a place where guys, major leaguers, could go in the winter to get more. And they have in past years. Obviously, Sale is another guy that lives down in that area, in the Naples area, so he spent a large portion of his past few years rehabbing down there. But over the years, they've really built up the facility at JetBlue Park and what they can offer guys, and having just all the technology that you hear everywhere. They're trying to implement and kind of have for these guys to be able to use. One of the Red Sox player development director, Brian Abraham, visited some of their minor leaguers that were working out at Driveline this winter, and went out there and visited Driveline to see, what can we take away from these kind of facilities. This is where a lot of major leaguers go to, improve their game. Like, what kinds of things are they doing there that we can use and kind of implement and bring to JetBlue Park? So I think that's been a big emphasis for the Red Sox too over the past couple of years.
All right, Jen.
Hey, Brock,
it's
how you
me.
doing?
Yeah, good. How are you? This weird being on this side of it.
Yeah, right.
Side of it with you. Yeah, I'm tired of talking about all the pitching and this and that, but I want to know what the vibe is around Fenway Park with kind of this new look Red Sox team. There's been a lot of changes. There's been some heat on on Heim and ownership. I want to know what the vibe is around Fenway Park. Are fans carrying over from FanFest, the booze from FanFest? Are they bringing that to Fenway Park? Is there some positivity around this crew, or how's that going?
Yeah, that's been a big, obviously a big topic around here the past several months, but obviously since Winterfest, when John Henry and Sam Kennedy and the Red Sox front office were booed at a fan event, mainly because of the Xander Bogarts situation that kind of went off the rails, and the team didn't get an extension done with him, and yeah, it's been, fans have been frustrated. I think there's a portion of fans that are always going to support the team no matter what and show up. But at the same time, the stands haven't been as full lately. You expect the beginning of the season people to be really excited to see the Red Sox and those games, to be sold out. And yeah, some of the games have been cold, but there have been past years where fans are showing up in April and just bundle up, and there's been sellouts. So the only sellout they'd had at Fenway in that first homestand was opening day. So yeah, I think this is all having a trickle down effect. Inside the clubhouse, I think the guys, it's a new group. There is no more Bogarts, there is no more JD Martinez, Nathan Eovaldi, Rich Hill was here last year. There was a pretty big, even Christian Vasquez, had been with the team for so long. Drafted in 2008, and it's been a big turnover inside the clubhouse, and it's been noticeable. But even in spring training, I think it was just sort of a sense of like a fresh start almost. A lot of these guys coming from other places, and not necessarily feeling the pressures of what happened last year or what didn't happen last year or the previous years, because they weren't here. So I think inside the clubhouse, the guys are gelling, and obviously the start to the season hasn't been what they wanted, and losing Adam Duvall, obviously with the wrist fracture the other day, is a massive blow, because he was a huge part of the lineup, especially these first few games here. So replacing him in the lineup is going to be hard, and I think obviously that probably has a little bit of a trickle down effect to the rest of the clubhouse just being, down a little bit in that sense of what are we going to do now. But yeah, the vibe around Fenway in terms of fans and I guess, the media coverage, I think people are just wanting to see more out of this team and see what this team can do. But like you mentioned, this is a big year for Chaim Bloom. What the team put together this winter and kind of figuring out how they can, retool this team and see if they're going to be able to compete in the AL East. And obviously right now they're sitting in last place, and it's only 11 games in, but you guys know as much as anybody that, you can't fall too far behind too early on, especially in the AL East, because it's such a juggernaut of division.
Yeah, you mentioned the fans and the people not showing up. There's been more empty seats this year than I can ever remember at Fenway. Is this kind of a informal protest by the fans saying, why in the holy crap did you not bring back Xander Bogarts? We're the Red Sox. We don't let these generational guys walk away. We keep these guys as a Red Sox for their life. You trade away Vasquez, who you mentioned was there forever. You lose Xander Bogaerts. They didn't really go out and get a star, right? So is this I know they signed Devers, but why not Bogaerts? Why?
Remember Mookie Betts?
Mookie Betts.
He
They
was on
have
the
money.
Red Sox years ago.
So if people forget, but why is this a protest from the fans? And why did how can you let Xander Bogaerts walk if you're the Red Sox?
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say, I feel like it started with Mookie Betts, back in 2020, and it's been kind of a progression since then of trying to, from their perspective, from the front office perspective, trying to make this a more sustainable roster. And in that vein, they've traded away a lot of their marquee players, or just not re-signed a lot of their marquee players, and fans are not taking it well, as they shouldn't be, because this is a $1 billion franchise. Obviously, they're one of the marquee teams in the league, and they have not had a good past few years. They made it, within 2 wins of the World Series in 21, but 2020 was last place. 2019 was disappointing. Last year was disappointing. So fans, I think, are, frustrated, and they're showing that by not showing up, and as they should be. They should be holding this team accountable. These are expensive ticket prices. It's not, a family of 4, you want to bring your family to the game. It's not like you can roll up and buy tickets, for $20 and get a good seat. So, I think fans are frustrated with the product on the field, frustrated with not bringing back some of these players that they've grown to know and love over the years. And I think ownership is starting to maybe understand that and says they understand that. But I mean, until, the fans really stop showing up, I think that's really when it's gonna hit it where it hurts. Because it all comes down to money, and that's where things that's where people make their biggest kind of their voices heard, I guess. So we'll see if this trend continues, if over the summer things start to fill back up. But yeah, I think people are just generally frustrated with the direction of the team and the fact that this is a team with one of the top 10 payrolls. It used to be right at the very top, and they're still just not producing and don't have, any marquee players outside of Devers. There's kind of Devers and a lot of good players, but no, superstars outside of Devers.
I mean, talk about the fans again. Was the fan sentiment about like getting rid of Xander, was that kind of forcing them to sign Devers, or were they going to sign Devers the whole way? Because I think they offered Xander like $100 million or something like that. Was this because they've gotten rid of Mookie, they've gotten rid of Xander, they've gotten rid of guys that they could have kept around? Was it a forceful thing that the fans manipulated that also?
I mean, it kind of looked like that because, it was a month or so later that they end up signing Devers as this big deal. But honestly, like the Devers, deal was in the works pretty much from the very for a while, but like it really picked up steam in like October, right after the end of the season. The Red Sox went down to the Dominican and visited with him. Eddie Romero was assistant GM, and they'd been kind of going back and forth with Devers agents, kind of earlier on. But at the same time, they should have and could have been able to, get both of them done. I think that's the biggest frustration for people. While it looked like, we are not, signing Devers or signing Bogarts so that we can sign Devers. I don't know if that was necessarily the case, but it was more, it should have just Bogarts should have just been gotten done earlier. And, in the spring, last spring, they gave him, he had a few years left on the deal that he had signed in 2019, and they gave him an extra year tacked onto that deal. And it was sort of a slap in the face to Bogarts. And he's sort of said that since. It ended up being what amounted to a 4-year, $90 million deal. You look at the deal that he ended up getting, but also the deals that had already been signed for other shortstops of his caliber. And yeah, you can see why he'd be offended and frustrated. So I think fans see and read and hear all that, and they just see the frustration, from some of these guys of not getting these kind of deals done, and yeah, and that's there's the Red Sox have been sticking with this plan to try to kind of retool their internal structure with the team and hope that some of the prospects they have in the pipeline will kind of make this a more sustainable roster for the future, and are trying to get to more of like what a Dodger system has been like, where they can sign a lot of these big name players because they have a pipeline of really talented prospects. But fans don't want to hear that. They know, the team has money. They know John Henry has money, and they don't necessarily care. They just want the team to spend and to keep spending and put a good product on the field, and they haven't done that lately. And so, it's their right to, not show up because the team isn't doing great.
Yeah, so as a Red Sox guy, Red Sox fan, I'm rooting for them. I find it hard to believe that Heim and ownership aren't doing their best to put the best product on the field. For me, the Bogarts thing, that one hurt. That one hurt as his buddy, his teammate. I wanted to see him in his career in Boston. But my question goes to like what with the guys brought in. I like some of the moves that were made. Obviously, Adam Duvall, he's out for a while. He was on fire. But what does a successful season look like for the Red Sox moving forward? Are we talking about, third place in the division? Are we talking about winning the division? Are we talking about making the playoffs? What does that look like?
Yeah. I mean, I don't doubt that they're, trying to put up, a good team together by getting a lot of these players like Justin Turner, Duvall, you mentioned, bringing in Corey Kluber. These are very, good players and talented players, but at the same time, yeah, like you mentioned, not signing Bogarts and kind of not going all in, I think is where people are are the most frustrated, and Heim kind of has to stick to the blueprint that's laid out in front of him. But yeah, I think it's just been frustrating, I think, all around for fans, just kind of watching this kind of feeling like they're sliding down this hill and there's no end in sight. When is this going to start to turn around? They've been told this sustainability line for a while now and haven't quite seen the results. So a successful season, I don't, like getting a wild card spot, I don't know that they can expect that much more. I mean, obviously the Yankees and the Jays, and obviously now the Rays, I think we're always in the mix, but even more so now after such a hot start. And the Orioles are coming off such a good year, and they're not going to be going anywhere. So if you can sneak into the playoffs, I think that would be a surprise for most people, because I think most people just assume the Red Sox are going to be one of the bottom 2 teams in the division. So if they can somehow, stay healthy and make a run, and maybe even just, hope that the other teams get injured, or, have some losing streaks and they can kind of work their way in. I think that's probably what the best they can hope for now, and see if the chips fall their way. But yeah, it's a weird time in Boston for a team and for a franchise that's known for having won 4 World Series in this century, and being right at the top. They're not right now, and I think everyone's kind of noticing it, and they're trying to get back up there with a roster that has a payroll that's pretty high up there, but also, like I mentioned before, doesn't have as many of the superstar players that you knew from years past.
Weird
Go
is
Sox.
the word. Yeah, go Sox.
Which
Exactly.
Which Sox? Which Sox?
Yeah,
go
true.
Sox. But no, weird is a good word for what's going on up there.
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
a strange time in Boston, because normally you're used to them. They don't let Xander Bogarts walk.
No. Well, they let Mookie walk.
They traded him though. At least they tried to get
Right,
something
you got
from him.
something for him. True.
But they just let Xander Bogarts. And that guy's a stud,
Of
man.
course. Yeah, and he's off to a great start.
The
with
Red
San
Sox
Diego.
have him. John Henry, don't spend all your money in football. Spend your money in
part
baseball.
It's part of the conversation up there right now. Jen, thank you so much. It was great to talk to you.
All right, thanks guys, appreciate it.
Awesome. Jen covers the Red Sox every day. You can read her work on The Athletic. Does a fantastic job, and didn't give Brock too hard of a time just now. But she's been covering the team for how long, Brock? Probably.
Yeah, I mean, she's been there since I was there. She was with Mass Live, I think, before.
Yep.
She's doing what she's doing now. So she's been there for a long time. She knows her Red Sox.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, like we said, I mean, she kind of gave us the spill. It's a weird time to be up there. Obviously, I've got every Red Sox game on. I'm watching them. I'm rooting for them. I feel like this might be a little valley here, but we're trending upward.
They've had a lot of those though. They win the World Series and they finish last.
Yeah, they're streaky.
Yeah.
But they win and then they go, wham.
I mean, I think while I was there, 2013 was my first year, and we won the World Series that year. I say we. I didn't really do anything, but then 14, 15, I think we were last place in the division.
14, you can blame on me.
16, yep. 14 was AJ's fault. Then 16, we won the division, made the playoffs, lost in the first round. 17, won the division, lost in the first round. And then 18, won the division, won the World Series. 19, didn't make the playoffs. So up and downs. But I mean, I think whenever you get to the up and it's win the World Series, you can have a few of those down years. But you've got to get back up and be successful and put a winning team on the field.
We've got
Who wins a World Series before? Since we got 2 Sox fans here, who wins the first World Series? White Sox or Red Sox?
World Series, who wins?
Who wins one first? Well, right now I would say the White Sox have a better chance, but I don't think either one's going to win a World Series this year.
No.
Who's the first one to win it?
The first one to win it? I'm going Red Sox, man. I got to go Red Sox.
You
got to go White Sox.
No, I don't. I kind of disagree with that because he's saying the Red Sox are going like this. The White Sox said their window is now, and they're kind of going the other way. So, I mean, as a White Sox fan, I want to always see them go like this.
Yeah,
sure.
Right? Like Brock's saying the Red Sox had their valley. Now they're going to start coming up. Well, the White Sox remember Rick Hahn was like, this is our window. We're going to spend. We're going to do all this stuff. And they did none of it. Now they're starting to.
Nope,
you talk about No, go ahead.
We got our guest waiting, so we got a table.
Go for it.
So as much as I love talking about this, I will say for the Red Sox, they have won quite a bit in the 2000s.
They're spoiled now. So the Red Sox fans are spoiled.
I will take some shitty years for World Series years. Trust me on that, and I bet our next guest would agree with us wholeheartedly. Brandon Lowe from the undefeated Tampa Bay Rays joining us right now. And wow, look at that. An immediate best friend of mine. Look at the backdrop.
What is whose office are you in?
You didn't go to the U.
No, wait.
No, that is not mine. Absolutely not.
Where's Westy?
We're ride or die Terps over here.
Where's Westy? Tell Westy to rip that thing down. Westy's our traveling secretary. Tell Westy to rip
Westy's
that thing
upstairs. This is I'm in T-Wall's office. I had to steal it from him.
There you go. I love it. I love the backdrop. Hey, Brandon, how's life right now with this ball club? I mean, could you envision a more fun way to start a season?
No, I mean, life's pretty good right now. It's hard to be upset with how we're playing baseball right now. It's on both sides of the ball. I mean, our pitchers are doing great. The hitters are doing great. It's a fun clubhouse to be in right now.
So, Brandon, before we get deep in this interview about way into the Rays way and the whole thing that you guys have going on there, we had Trisha Whitaker on the other day, and I said to her, Wander Franco is not a superstar, and she lost her mind, and she went all crazy on me. So I'm going to ask you, I said he's not yet at the level of a Machado, a Harper, a Trout, Otani. He's got the potential. So give me your thoughts on Wander Franco since you play with him every day.
He's on his way. I would agree. I don't know that if I put him in the same breath as Otani, but there's probably not anybody I put in the same breath as Otani. But he definitely has the tools to do it. And it's just, he's got to grow and mature in his game and everything. And, maybe we can revisit that in a year or so and see if we still have the same viewpoint.
Brandon, we're neighbors now, man. We're neighbors now. So we're both here in Nashville. Hey, I want to know, this is a question I have probably for every person that plays for the Rays. And it's not a serious question, but I want to know because I wasn't able to do it. See, how do you hit at the Trop? How are you successful at that place? Okay?
Oh man, it's tough. It is not a hitter's park by any means, but if you can figure it out, it makes hitting on the road so much easier. So I feel like everything just looks so much faster, so much harder at the Trop. So it's almost like you try to slow everything down, try to do less, try to, hit a single or, just find the barrel, and things are going to kind of take care of itself there. As hard as it is to hit there, the turf is quick. So you hit a ball, you got a good shot.
I liked hitting in the Trop.
Really?
Did you, man?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I played against the Rays when they were terrible. So, I mean, it was like they're flipping up like these dudes you've never heard of. You're like, okay,
it's different.
Well, now,
it's different now, yeah.
Well, now they have guys you never heard of, but they're throwing 102 miles
exactly,
an hour.
Exactly.
7-mile split fingers, and they've
changed.
got to figure it out.
Yeah, it's definitely changed.
That was my question. Lau, how good would you hit if you had to face your starting rotation and bullpen every day?
Oh, man. Well, I mean, I don't think I'd play every day. I don't think I'd get any at-bats off Springs or Shane. But, no, I mean, it's a lot of fun not having to face them. It's so much fun playing second, especially even now with the shift. I still get to play essentially right behind the pitcher, so I get to see the pitch movements and stuff like that. And, I mean, it's some of it's just incredible. I mean, even the starter that kind of gets overlooked in Fleming, playing behind him yesterday, I was like, I don't even know how he's making a baseball move the way that he's making a baseball move. And it's days like that where you just kind of sit back and you're like, man, it's a good day to be a Ray.
Is it spider tack? Because we were talking about that before. Because if you're cheating, I want to be the first one to break it, because breaking news is what we do here. Blink twice if they're using it.
Nice.
No, I mean, it's something that Snides has. I don't know what he does, but I'm never going to ask it. I'll let him do it. Let him bring some magic sauce in the water or whatever it is. But pitchers come here and they figure it out. It's incredible.
I hear some music blasting in the background. So when you win game after game, does the music in the clubhouse continue to rise because everyone's kind of digging themselves? Like, what decibel level are we on at this point when we are 2 freaking weeks into the season and there are no L's on the board?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's cranked up to the highest volume that we can have it without blowing our speakers out at this point. You know, we're having a great time post game, and pre-game it's even a blast. You know, everyone's just getting ready. Everyone's hungry. You know, there's that feeling in the clubhouse where everyone's doing well, and everyone's kind of itching to get out there on the field.
You guys used to have, I think you still have it, on your tunnel to the dugout, there's down the steps. Does it still say "Do it the Rays way"? Is that sign still there?
Oh, I don't know. Honestly, I don't think it is.
Because I was going to ask you, what's the Ray way? Because it started kind of with Joe Madden. And we used to make fun of it because we'd have to walk over to the home side. The cages were on the home side. There was no cage on. So you have to walk over, go down the steps. There was a big sign that said, "Do it the Rays way." And we're like, they suck. The Rays way. What's that? Well, now they make the playoffs every year. So what's the Rays way? Explain it to me. You came up in the organization. Explain to me the Rays way and what Kevin Cash's way is.
I think a majority of it's just playing baseball the right way. I think, you know, looking at things that have happened over this season already, I mean, in Washington, Randy beats out a routine ground ball to short, and the next pitch is hit for a home run. You know, Harold beats out a chopper to the shortstop that should have been an ending, you know, force out a second, and I get to come up and first pitch hit a grand slam. And it's that kind of thing where it's not selfish baseball. No one's playing for their own numbers. It's, you know, we're at the highest level now. Now we're just pulling for each other. We're playing team baseball, and we're just going out there for a W in that column.
I love how you throw in, I hit a grand slam right there. That was a pro move. That was a pro move. But let's talk about the Rays way and talk about how y'all are 11-0. Coming out of spring training, I mean, obviously you see the schedule, you see who's lined up, who you're playing. Is this something that y'all kind of envisioned coming out, knowing that you're not playing the top competition, not taking anything away from who you've played, because good teams beat the teams that they're supposed to beat, and y'all have done that. But is this something that y'all kind of like, hey, we can get off to a hot start here and kind of ride this thing?
No, I mean, honestly, I mean, y'all played. I mean, I don't know that you even knew who you were playing until you walked into the door. You know, we knew that we opened with Detroit because of Meadows and talking with him, but I mean, I never really looked at the schedule. I don't really know who's throwing or who's playing until we walk in that day. So it's just understanding. And I think that's one of the things that kind of helps us a little bit is we're not focused on anything that's going on in the future. We're focused on that day when you walk in. You know, we find out the pitcher, we learn about them, we do everything that we need to learn, and you know, we take it one game at a time, and that's really, I think, really helped us this year.
We talk a lot about contracts on this show. Give the fans an insight of what your contract meant for you, and did it make you a better player?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't grow up in money. I grew up undersized. People had always told me that, you know, baseball wasn't going to work out. I actually got some of my friends questioned me when I committed to go to Maryland that, you know, why are you going to Maryland? You're not going to play there, kind of thing. And to kind of get rewarded for all the hard work that I had gone through really highlighted that contract, and then really let you relax. You know, you're playing baseball at the best level. It's difficult. It's not easy out there. And it really helps you kind of take those 0 for 5 lickings that you're going to take and move past them and understand that, you know, they've invested in me. They're going to trust me that I'm going to work myself out of this. And, you know, you really get to kind of relax and go out there and play your own game.
You love Maryland, don't you? You just love Maryland. You met your wife at Maryland. Now you guys have a bakery. So can you bake? What's your favorite? What's your go-to thing at the bakery? Let's not put that up there.
Sweet and loud. That looks
good. We will preface this with I cannot bake. I am not allowed in this kitchen when the bakery is going. I get to be the taste tester, which is fantastic. I'll never complain about that. And the best thing that gets made is her Oreo cake. I mean, if you've dipped Oreos in milk and eaten it after that, that's what this cake tastes like. It is incredible.
Okay.
But wait. You're Brock's
territory cake?
Yeah, order one. You can
Order one.
Wait,
Okay.
you want everything free? Order.
I'll order it. I'll go. I'll order one. Okay.
If Brock's your neighbor, he hasn't said it yet. AJ beat me to it. Is he going to get any free treats because he lives near you? And which one of your teammates is constantly pulling an AJ and being like, "Hey, let's get some free cakes. Hey, I want some free. Hey, you got a golf outing that I can get to for free?" Like, which teammate gets on that level?
Right now, the bakery's a little on the back burner a little bit. The 12-week-old little kid is taking up the majority of everyone's time at the moment. But I would have to say Shane. I feel like he's one of my closest friends on the team, so he definitely is not uncomfortable telling me that I need to bring in cookies or I need to make my wife work to bring him a cake in.
I like Shane. It's a good answer. I like Shane. I like this Shane McClanahan guy. He can pitch too.
I need to know where the bakery is. Is it here in Nashville somewhere?
Tampa.
Bakery runs out of the home, so
okay, it's perfect.
It's online.
So we're in a good location
and all that stuff, and it just all the orders go through her website and everything, and it's super easy.
Sweet and Low. That's what it's called. I mean, plug it a little bit, Lau.
Close.
Sweet and Loud.
Sweet and Loud, baby.
Sweet and Loud.
No, it's Sweet and Loud.
Kratz, we played together.
No, we didn't. You played. I watched you. It's a play on Sweet and Low. It's Sweet and Loud. Is Madison a better athlete than you?
Oh man, at this point, I'm gonna say no. If you would have asked this question, 5 or 6 years ago when she's still playing, absolutely. She was a pitcher at Maryland, and I had to catch her a few times, and full catcher's gear, cup, I was terrified. I didn't understand how people ever got hits off of her, and I was thankful that she never extended that competition out there because I couldn't have turned it down, and I would have not liked the result.
You saying you couldn't have got a hit off your wife?
I don't believe so.
She would have thrown you rise ball?
Catching it.
Rise ball,
change up, slow curve. She had the kitchen sink that she could have thrown at me, and I had a hard enough time catching it, let alone hit it.
Okay.
That's what they're throwing these days is the rise balls. He's doing just fine. 4 home runs his last 4 games.
First pitch changeup last night. How you doing in the 5th? Right? Wasn't that a changeup?
Yeah.
Changeup. He took a changeup. He took a changeup. The at bat before he thought it was a little low. He caught the bottom of the zone though, but he was ready for it the next time.
Same pitch in the next at bat. So I was a little bit more prepared for that one.
Brandon, you ruined Yandy's celebration, by the way. He was over there flexing. He was giving the biceps, doing the whole deal. And then if you're watching the game, they're showing him flex, and the dugout just stops and's like, "Oh, wait, he just hit one too." You ruined his celebration.
I did not see that. I didn't realize he was still celebrating.
Oh, yeah, he was over there giving the whole Scotty Braun, look at my pipes, look how big I am, yeah. I went deep, giving the whole thing. That. Yeah, and then all of a sudden you hit it.
I'd be
you
flexing it all day long if I had biceps like that.
Yeah, me too.
Yandy's in there doing his 133 bicep curls in different directions today. If you could take this camera in there, is he actually breaking a sweat? Because playing with Yandy, I know he doesn't break a sweat, but he has the most variations of bicep curls ever.
That man is in the gym from the time that he shows up until BP. He spends the most time in there that I've ever seen and doesn't sweat, but he does get his workout in. It's incredible. He's in there all the time.
So who? Because we talked to Trisha Whitaker yesterday. Who's the leader in that clubhouse? Her answer kind of surprised us, and we didn't agree, but we're not in that clubhouse, so you're the guy. You're the guy that needs to let us know who took Kiermaier's role of like the dance and slapping, Joyce, G-Man's translator. He's not around to get slapped on the belly anymore, so who's the leader?
No, as of right now, we kind of have a split celly at the end of the game. Shane takes our pitchers, kind of goes through everything there, and then I've been taking the hitters. And we pick a team MVP at the end, and then team MVP gets a shot of tequila at the end of it all.
Oh,
right, party.
Man. Club Rays, they're doing it the Ray way now. That's what she said, Shane McClanahan. And I disagreed. I said, you can't have a starting pitcher be the leader on the team because they're only out there once every 5 days. And with the Rays, it could be 6 or 7 days. So way to go, Brandon. Take that lead. Be the leader of the position players because we all know position players rule the show.
Absolutely. We definitely let our starting pitchers know that they're not out there now. They're out
kickers.
There. They're getting ready for their starts and all that kind of stuff. So it's a fun environment to let them know. But as long as they're out there throwing up zeros, we're gonna let them do what they got to do.
Are we getting like some serious rare, 1 out of 100 bottles of tequila that guys are getting a rip after the game? Like they're not. I don't want to call it any specific names on the negative side because they might be a sponsor at some point or something. But like we don't want some garbage. I picked it up at the grocery store for $10.
No, so the first bottle that we ended up going through was a brand name big bottle that it was already opening day, so it's like, oh man, we got to get a bottle out. So I talked to T-Wall and he gave me a bottle, and so we had been using that one, but we had just transferred over to I'd been doing my research. I was like, there's got to be better tequilas out there, and I think it's Magenta is the tequila called. I don't know. We haven't tried it yet, so hopefully today, I'm hoping Taj gets to take his first shot today after a debut. That'll be pretty nice.
Chances are y'all are going to win, so you'll probably be taking shots.
And Taj is a big time prospect too. Yeah,
he is.
Yeah. Have you gotten to spend a lot of time with him, Brandon?
He got to spend a good amount of time up in camp this spring. That we got to talk a little bit. I got to play behind him a couple times, and I was extremely surprised by his stuff. I'd never seen him throw before, and then in spring training, you think that everybody's numbers are going to be down a little bit, and he's just going to get kind of warmed up, and he was pumping 98, 99, throwing some good off speed. So I'm pretty excited to watch him work today, and talking with him, that this isn't going to be too big of a day. It's another start for him, and he's going to handle it like a professional.
Brandon, you're Brandon Lowe, and you have Josh Lowe.
Yeah.
Then you have Nathaniel Lowe. Can we get him traded to the Rays, and you guys can have like the Lowe brothers get more fans? You can have a Lowe night and get more fans.
He was there.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
We got to get him back. We can have the Lowe brothers and get more than 12,000 people in the stands at the Trop. Let's go, Tampa.
Nathaniel's not coming back. He loves Texas.
Well, true, but it's worth a shot.
Yeah, he's got a silver slugger over there. He's doing okay.
How do we get more fans in the Trop? What's the way? I live in Orlando. I'm not driving over there. It's an hour and a half. Got to cross the stupid bridge. It sucks. Can we get a new ballpark for you guys? Can we get more than 12,000, please?
Something's supposed to be in the works. I don't worry too much about all that stuff. I can't change anything. No one's gonna take the opinion of me and put it concrete and build us a stadium somewhere else, or give us this brand new stadium here. There's a lot of stuff going on, and hopefully something gets decided by the end of this year and we can figure some stuff out. But I'd love to play in front of 25, 30 every game. That'd be incredible.
Sweet and loud for every fan.
Yeah.
The Oreo cake. Do that for one night.
Little tiny ones.
Guarantee.
You're going to have to ask Madison first.
Half full.
I'm not going to put that out there. I'd like to see another day.
Yeah.
If I'd make it out of the house after I agreed to that.
Rays have to send all of their interns to assist.
Okay. But then she'd have to give up the family secret.
True. Then never mind.
Yes.
Scratch that. Not worth it. Brandon, hey, good luck today. Keep doing your thing.
Wait. Are you in the lineup today?
I'm not.
Dodge and Sale.
Are you in?
Yeah. No, I'm not facing Sale today.
Sale-itis. He got the sale-itis. I get it.
Tight hamstring, I'm telling you.
5th inning, 6th inning, I'll find my way in there. After our guys, do what they do, and I'll face a righty throwing 100 at some point.
There you go.
There you go. I like it. Hey, Brandon, good luck. Hopefully a tequila shot for you later after another dinger. Thanks for joining us, man. This was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Brandon Lowe of the undefeated.
Do you think he'd be saying that at 11-0? Undefeated.
That's a lot.
Nobody thought that.
No.
Nobody.
I don't care who they're
You
playing.
can't think you're going to win 11 in a row ever during the season.
Well, because it also puts all that, not pressure, but it puts the onus on every day your pitching staff having their shit together too. Obviously, they've been hitting, but all it takes is one starter getting rocked.
Or one opener.
Or one opener getting rocked.
What's their run differential? 63? They're plus 63 run differential to 11 games?
See, that doesn't impress me as much as the wins.
Dude, plus 63 through 11 games?
They're playing
so
that
impressive.
part for me. The teams are playing. They're playing in the beginning here.
I don't
Now
care
it's
who
the
they're
Red
playing.
Sox. You don't care who they're playing?
No, to be plus 63 in run differential?
No, it's impressive. I'm just saying they did play. I'm not knocking the record. I'm saying they did play the three worst teams and probably the three worst pitching.
And they throw in the Red Sox, according to Jen.
Red Sox are pretty far down there too. Their schedule, of course, eventually gets to a gauntlet period, but for a little bit right now,
Hey, take all the wins you can get. They count
Exactly.
just as much in April as they do in September.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I mean, that's what good teams do. They beat the teams that they're supposed to beat, and
Yes.
the Rays are doing that right now. So, I mean, it's hard to win a major league game, and they've won 11 in a row. Doesn't matter who you're playing.
I think.
Hey, go ahead,
I think one of the things that's overlooked, and he touched on it a little bit. He said Kyle Snyder, their pitching coach, is the best pitching coach at getting the most out of whatever somebody has. Yes, the analytics. Yes, it's a team effort, blah, blah, blah. And he'll never go on and say that. But this guy is an incredible communicator. He has the way of just connecting with guys, and he has the ability to get them to believe it, whether they know they're believing it or not. He's a Jedi. He's incredible out there, and they're just going to keep doing the same thing, bringing up pitchers. Taj throwing today, like he knows what this guy has. He's not like, I really don't even know what's going on in the minor leagues. He's so aware, and it's a rare thing in the game. That's why organizations don't have as much success pitching as these guys do.
Nope, nobody's had more mound trips in the history of baseball than Snyder, by the way. He stays in shape because before the mound visit rule, he'd go out there 3 times an inning. They change pitchers. He'd go out, he'd use every visit. You used to play there, and you're like, man, Schneider, you got to be exhausted from walking back and forth from the dugout to every time there would be a guy in trouble, he'd stop the momentum. Let's go talk to him. Man, but he is good. He's like 6'7", dude. He's gigantic, and he does a great job in Tampa.
Yeah, I heard his spider tack's super sticky too. So.
That was the best question. Blink twice, and then he's just
blink twice.
Cold stare right into Kratzy's eyes. All right, before we bring Joe West up, a few updates from the day as part of what we do being on live. First of all, seconds ago, Lucas Giolito hit Kyle Farmer with a pitch in the face, and he was down for a bit, and they've walked him off. So we'll let you know if we get any word on what happened to Farmer for the Minnesota Twins-White Sox game going on right now. Also from the games, Aaron Boone was tossed in, the first inning?
Well, there was a weird play. I think Aaron Hicks was playing center. He kind of slid, and the ball, he looked like he caught it. It was second and third, and the ball came out, and you could just barely see it on replay. But they got this third out at second, Jose Ramirez, and then they showed it on the Jumbotron between innings, and Terry Francona was like, look. And then the umpires changed it, so Aaron Boone was out there arguing for like 10 minutes.
You can't do that.
Apparently you can because they did it.
But you can't. They're going to get in trouble.
Who?
The umpires.
Well, the Guardians are up 3-0. They don't care if the umpires get in trouble.
I understand, but that's not allowed.
Aren't you supposed to get the call right?
And just eternally? Should we? If it's the 5th inning and we see there was a problem in the second, should we go back and reverse it?
So they took they took the Yankees were off the field, and then they brought them back out.
Brought them back on.
And they're like, "Oh, you got this inning's not over. We were just kidding. Let's re-go."
Commercial break. You're done. They sent a memo out to remember. There's new rules this year for the managers. You got to be quicker than ever. That doesn't sound like.
Where's Joe West when we need him? What do you think Joe would have done? I've seen Joe kick some guys out.
AJ said Tito probably one of the best managers in the American League. So look, he gets to play under different rules. He gets to do
special treatment.
He gets to look at the scoreboard and be like, "Yeah, hey, look at the scoreboard. Oh, okay, Tito, you're the best. Here, we'll change the call."
my thing is you're going to have a clock. This is what's going to happen eventually. You're going to have a clock on each play that's running. And if you don't drop the challenge flag before the clock runs out, doesn't matter what happened, we move on.
That was, I thought, the rule, but apparently today
they need a physical object to show that.
A red flagging.
You can even go to replay on the replay and say, did he drop the challenge flag before the 15 seconds expired? That's how it should be. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, otherwise, we're giving certain managers more time to check out the scoreboard for instant replay.
I've never seen that one.
That's bad.
Yeah, there's got to be a time limit to where, you know what, you're right, we missed that one, but the game must go on.
Yes.
Aaron Boone's game did not go on.
It did not.
No, he's done.
He's watching foul territory right now.
Hell yeah,
he probably is.
Yeah, well, yesterday Phil Nevin broke the news that those two used to watch The Bachelorette together every week. So That's cute. Anyway, I got one more very recent update in the past hour. This breaking news: Ian Happ signing a longer-term extension with the Chicago Cubs. Did you guys see this? 3 years, $61 million. It's from next season through 2026. That covers his ages 29 through 31 seasons. And a full no-trade clause is in there. What a turnaround. Last year, which was weird too, with the Cubs basically saying goodbye to Happ and Contreras and then not trading either of them. And then they ride it out for the rest of the season. Contreras signs with the Cardinals in the offseason. And Happ's going to be on next week, I've just been told as well, which was scheduled as it is. But maybe he knew.
Playoff team. They're a playoff team now.
With Happ? Well, Happ's already on the team. Wait, but on the player side of things, Kratzy, does that feel low? Just because I'm looking at the offseason free agents available outfield-wise, it's a pretty weak list. I think Ian Happ was going to be free agent after this season. He could have gotten more than that. You don't think so?
I'm going to let Kratz answer this, but $20 million a year sounds pretty damn good to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think $20 million a year for him. I think we need to look at the whole body of work. And granted, he could go out and had an incredible year this year, and you might have been looking at $100 million for 5 years. Like he's sneaky young. He's still on this side of 30. I think he's 29 now, or maybe he's still 28. I'm not sure, but like you got to look at everything. He had a good year last year. I think he was their only All-Star, and I love it for him. I love it for him. 20 a year for 3 years. Yes, please. Absolutely.
And let's not forget, he's comfortable there. He likes it there. Full no trade, 3 years, 61. Sign me up.
Yep. Sign me up. I'm in.
You weren't expecting more years from him in the offseason based on age, that he would have gotten
maybe
at least 5?
He don't care.
Maybe he's one of those guys. He's like, I want to be in Chicago, and 3 years for $60 million, sign me up. We'll see what happens after that, but you can live a pretty good life on $61 million.
Oh, I'm not doubting that if we want to play that game. But in the baseball world, we're debating, if a guy gets paid enough, even if it's a superstar making 200 plus.
I mean, it wasn't that long, but it wasn't that long ago where Ian Happ, they were like, this guy's kind of a bust. I mean, it wasn't
2019.
It wasn't that long ago, and now they're signing him to a 3-year extension. I mean,
he's had some good seasons though.
Yeah.
I'm looking. I mean, above average, OPS plus, league average is 100. Well, right now it's the first couple weeks of the season. He's hitting the crap out of the ball. 981 OPS, but last year 120, 20% better than league average hitter. 21 was 103, so it's kind of down. 2020 131, 2019. I mean, he was hurt. That's why I was looking at the counting stats. But 128 OPS plus. It's a good hitter.
Yeah,
different kind of hitter. He strikes out, but he takes his walks, hits his homers. Solid ball player, in my mind.
He doesn't hit a ton of homers. I mean, when you're playing every day and you pump 25 out, that's his best year. Like a 114 career OPS plus, 800 OPS, I think is great. But I think he's probably, correct me if I'm wrong, probably more of like a 5-year, $15 million kind of guy in the offseason. And to get 3 years, 20, maybe he's kind of betting on himself, and he can still get 2 more years out of it, but he's already guaranteed himself an extra $5 million. Just looking at other comparable players that he'd be going up against, not going up against in the free agent class, but comps to other players. I think he's probably more like a 15.
I was just thinking
he got 575, just like
Kratz.
Happ
or Benintendi?
Well, Hap's a switch hitter.
I'd rather have Hap.
Okay. Well, there you go. That's why he got paid more.
He's getting more average annual value. No, I'm with you on that. I just thought he would get 4 or 5 years. I thought he would get 5.
Okay.
Based on his age. He's 28 years old.
That's old now.
28? No.
Look at Brock. Brock's how old are you, Brock?
What's that?
How old are you, Brock?
34.
Okay, see, they retired him.
Hey,
Yeah. Yeah. Not my choice, but the game got me. The game got me.
Gets everybody.
But I wasn't Ian Happ or Andrew Benintendi or any of those guys. So, I filled in when I could.
He had a good run.
Cycles.
So did our next.
Great run.
Ready for this one? The great, long time ump, the most games umped ever. Joe West joins us right now on Foul Territory. Joe, great to see you and to have you on here. AJ, why don't you introduce your friend here?
The man, the myth, the legend, Joe West. He once threw me out of a spring training game. He also once kicked Mark Burley out for picking him off of first base. So here he is, the manager with the all-time game record, Joe West.
Joe, how you been?
I've been great, and you deserve to get kicked out of that spring training game. It's the way you acted, and I didn't even say anything to you. I just told Freddie, I said, we need another catcher. This was not playing nice in the sandbox. So he sent a catcher out there to replace you, and you didn't want to play anyway. You were getting beat like 8-2.
Exactly. Exactly. And you weren't calling strikes either, so I was like, I'm out of here. I'll be home in 15 minutes. You got 3 more hours of this crap.
Yeah, that was exactly what happened. The ball was low, and you said, I got to have that pitch. I said, the ball's low. He said, you said, I don't care. I got to have that pitch. We're getting killed.
I wasn't wrong.
Yeah. I look at this. I look down. I see Brock. I kicked Brock out of one game too, a long time ago.
Yeah, you got me once, Joe. Yeah, you got me once. I'm surprised it wasn't more than that, but.
Yeah, well, I was too, but.
Well, you didn't get Joe. You didn't get Kratz?
I never played.
Oh, okay.
No, he was when he came in. He was the nicest kid that ever lived. He was like he was happy to be there, and it was a pleasure to have him there.
Wow.
He wasn't grumpy like you, AJ.
That's because I had to play. You get in there once a week. You got all your energy, you got all your positives stored up. When you get out there every day, it wears on you. Joe, it was 56. What is it? 56-40. How many games?
No, it's 54-60 regular season games.
Okay, and they're making a movie, correct, about your?
Oh, I hope not.
Because the guy, what's the guy's name? There was a guy that's called me to try to get me to do an interview about you and all the games you caught. What was the guy's name?
Well, there was a producer out there named Charlie Mendes trying to put this together, but I don't think he has enough money to put it together because you can't have a documentary and not have any footage, and I don't think he can afford the footage. And I'm certainly not going to ask baseball for the footage. It was I worked 5,460 games regular season, and the funny thing is, and you don't look back on this too much, but I had 135 postseason and all-star games. And so the real number, I think, is 55-95, if my math's correct. But, I think Jerry Davis has just a couple more games than I did postseason, but he's still about 300 or 400 behind me in the regular season games. And he was quite the umpire himself. He was around for a long time. In fact, I worked his last game in St. Louis when he worked his last game that he ever worked was in St. Louis. So, but it was a heck of a career. And I was very lucky. I got in it at a young age. My first game, I was like 23 years old in the big leagues, and that doesn't happen. They don't take people like that anymore. I think they took me to the big leagues that year because I had worked spring training, and so they gave me like 8 games at the end of the year. So I worked those 8 games, and then I went to Puerto Rico. But I was very lucky. I got in at a good time, and I didn't get hurt. I did have 3 knee surgeries. In fact, the last one was a knee replacement, and I worked 1 year on that replaced knee. So Again, I was very lucky. I was healthy. I got through it, and I even made up with Hall Carrollson after throwing Mark Burley out of the game. So
we're going to get to that. Don't you worry. We're getting into that here in a second. We got video and everything. Kratz has some stuff for you first.
Oh, okay. Sure.
When you said you broke in at 23, were you like, I'm going to do this for the next 233 years? Like, this is how long, like, what was your mindset there? At 23, 24, starting the next season, like, are you like, yeah, I'm going to get it. I'm going to do this for X amount of years, and then I'm going to go do my singing career?
You know what's really funny? When I first started, I thought I'd work 20 years and get out. But when I worked my 22nd year, they fired 22 of us. And we beat them in court, all but 4 of us, I think. We beat them in court, got back pay and all the benefits retroactive. And in fact, it says that they negotiated and brought these guys back. That wasn't true. The federal judge put us back to work because what they had done was outside the law. And that's why we got back pay with interest. But so a lot of those guys that I was working with, Terry Taylor, Drew Coble was in the American League at the time, and Frank Pulley. They fired a lot of good umpires. They fired 365 years of experience and replaced it with 2. And that's why a couple of years there that they were struggling a little bit with. In fact, they went to the ball clubs and asked you guys not to argue with them. But and this was like 2000, 2001. But like I said, I was very lucky. And all those guys retired and took the pension and the severance money. And I said, well, as bad as you treated me, I'm just going to aggravate you for a couple more years. So I'd given them 22 of the best years of my life. So I decided to give them 20 of the worst years of my life. So.
Wait. Why'd you pick the 20 years when I was around? I wanted to see the nice Joe West. I got the mean, grumpy old Joe West. So
I was kind of grumpy in my old age, wasn't I?
We have the video of you throwing out Mark Burley. The only time I think Mark Burley ever got kicked out of a game was in Cleveland. There's been some ruckus today in Cleveland. We're also going to ask you about with some replay stuff. So can we roll the video of you throwing out Mark Burley in Cleveland? Here it is. So he picked Joe West off, and whoever. Why are you yelling at Mark? Mark never said a word to anybody.
I didn't yell at Mark. I was yelling at Ozzie.
Okay. Don't come out here now. Don't come out here. You know Ozzie's coming out and putting on a show. You're putting on a show. He's putting on a show. Then we get Hawk saying, Joe, it's time for you to go home.
Yeah.
Right? So you throw Ozzie out of the game, fine. Joey Cora then has to manage our poor team. Don Cooper gets kicked out, our pitching coach.
No, he didn't.
Then you put Angel Hernandez in the middle, Joe. Come on, out of all the people.
He was a peacemaker.
Yeah, right.
Is that what they called him?
Yeah, he was a peacemaker there.
So that was fine. I get it. Yeah. The next time we played, Burley's pitching, you're umpiring, Angel's behind the plate. I think you were at second base. We told Mark.
I was at third.
Okay, we told Mark, do not throw over to first this entire game. He's, why not? That's part of what I do. I said, because Angel Hernandez is going to call a balk on you the first time you throw over to make sure that Joe West was right when he ejected you. And Burley's like, no way. He threw over, balk, right away. As soon as he went over, balk, he gave the worst move you've ever seen. Straight over to first, balk. And we're like, we told you not to throw over. He's like, I just had to try it.
Wow. It was premeditated.
But the balk.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, bullshit.
Yeah,
Joe.
they talked about that in the umpire room before the game.
They did? Were you in Cleveland then?
Yeah, y'all did.
No, when Angel
Hey,
called the
if he
balk on
picks
Burley.
And let me tell you something. No one wants to kick Mark Burley out of the game. When he threw the glove up in the air, the other 3 umpires went, no. Because, he pitched quick. You know, everybody loved to have Mark Burley in the game. When he threw the glove up in the air, they all went, oh, no. You know, so, and then, of course, I said, if it comes down, you're gone. And it was. So, but anyway, yeah, Hawk took some shots at me after that one. So, but that was funny. You know, And he beat up, when you boys won the World Series in 2005, Hawk used to say that I was the best umpire in baseball. When I called a balk on Mark Burley, I was the worst. So
You were.
because Burley was his favorite player. So that's and then there was a time, it was a few years later, I missed the first 19 games of the season because I had throat surgery. I had radiation for throat cancer, and I missed the first 19 games of the season. I came back, and I think Hawk was working with Steve Stone, and Steve said, this is Joe's first game back. And Hawk said, what was he doing? And he said, well, he had throat cancer, and he had radiation treatments and everything. So the game ended, and he kicked in our door, came right in the shower, and said, look, you can fight me, you can hate me, you can screw me, you can do whatever, but don't you ever die on me, you son of a bitch. And so from then on, I'd get calls, hey, we're playing over in Winter Haven, we're playing over in Orlando, we're playing at, what's that place he plays? It's real tight.
Orange Tree.
Orange Tree, yeah, he'd call me up. And I know why he'd call me, because he needed somebody with a big handicap. So, but he was something else. And still is something else. Quite the guy. He's kind of cute, So. But,
all right, Joe, you've been out for a few years now. We've got some rule changes in the game. I want to hear from an umpire's point of view of what you kind of think of these new rules, the pitch clock. We've got talks of robo umps. I'm sure you love that idea. And then, how we were talking earlier on the show about foreign substances and how these guys are checking for foreign substances. And we don't understand, you touch a hand's going to be sticky. A pitcher's using Rosin, sunscreen, whatever they're using. How can we tell what's going on, what's being used, what's illegal, what's not illegal? Just get some of your thoughts on some of the newer rules.
Well, the biggest problem with checking their hands, I mean, when I first came to the big leagues, the hitters wanted the pitchers to be able to control the ball. And they wanted them to have a good grip on the ball because they knew where it was going. And so the pitchers back then, there was not this great importance of checking the pitcher to see if he had a foreign substance, because they wanted him to be sure he held the ball. Well, with the advent of all this technical stuff and spin ratio and all this stuff, it's gotten to be where it's out of hand, and you've opened up a can of worms where there are going to be people that are hit with a pitch that the pitcher just lost control of the ball. And so in some ways it may be good to have changed all that, but in some ways it's bad, because you're going to have some people get hurt because they can't grip the pitch. The issue about checking them is basically to keep them from cheating. And there was one guy, I forget who it was, said it ruined his pitching mechanics because he can't doctor the ball anymore. Well, why would you make a statement like that? Even if you were doing it, why would you say something like that? I think the history of baseball, the biggest thing about it was that everyone's trying to be the best that they can be. And I don't think any of these people, except the guys that were throwing spitballs like Gaylord Perry and the guys that scuffed the ball like Don Sutton, I consider that more cheating than keeping something on your hand where you can control the pitch and know where it's going. So I have mixed emotions about doing all that, because I would rather the pitcher knows where he's going to throw the ball than to have somebody get hit in the face because the pitcher lost control of the ball. The other issues about the rule changes, I think the size of the base will probably help the first baseman. It should help the base stealer. And it should help you in turning a double play at second base because the base is bigger. And then things like that, I think they've done that more for a safety reason than they have for anything else. I don't think the powers that be were smart enough to realize that you add a couple, 3 inches here or there, you're going to increase anything to improve the game. But I don't have a problem with that. What I do have a problem with and I've always had this problem, is the time between innings, where when I first started, there was no time between innings. You got out there and you pitched and you were ready to go. So it was about the early 80s. They decided to put in the time between innings at 1 minute and 40 seconds. And we had 4 pitchers that complained about it. One of them was Steve Carlton. One of them was Tom Seaver. One of them was Randy Jones. And I forget who the fourth one was. But they complained that 1 minute and 40 seconds between innings for commercial times was too long, that they'd be waiting on the mound when, it was time to play. Then they went to 2 minutes and 5 seconds. And then about 16 or 17 pitchers complained that it was too long. And now, especially in the playoffs, it's almost 3 minutes between innings. So the idea of speeding up the game, making you get in the box and doing this, that, and the other, we're wasting probably 18 minutes doing TV commercials. So they haven't addressed the real problem, which is the media. And I don't mean it, the media itself, I mean the commercial time between innings. And I remember in the middle 80s, there was this thing that the Mets used to do where they had the walk-up music. And they wouldn't leave the on-deck circle until they'd played their walk-up music. And it was almost like they were auditioning for a Broadway play. And that became the thing to do, was to wait till your walk-up music was. And that slows down the game.
Quit complaining. Hey, quit complaining, because those damn commercials paid your fat-ass salary that you got for 40 years. So I don't want to hear you complain about the walk-up music, the time between. Because listen, if there was no commercials,
throw them out,
playing
Joe.
Golf, not at Bella Colina, you'd be at Diamond Players Club still. So don't give me that crap about it took too long.
Listen, all the money you made, all the money you stole from the White Sox. And you're talking about the money that an umpire made? I mean, you made more money in 2 months than I made in a year.
Well, should have had a better union head.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I wasn't too good at that either. At one time, I had us in the Teamsters. Now, you'll like this story. I had both the major and minor league union in the Teamsters, and both unions turned it down. They said, "No, we want our anonymity." I said, let me get this straight. If you go on strike, there's going to be 68 of you walking a picket line. If you go on strike with the Teamsters, they will shut down the ballparks.
Yeah. Joe, you would have been like Jimmy Hoffa. You would have disappeared.
Yeah, I would have been under one of these new stadiums they built. You're right.
Hey, do you want to ask the fan question?
Well, no, I was going to let Kratzy. Kratzy had something
Kratzy,
for him.
you go first, then AJ's.
No, I'm a high school coach now, so I'm ruining kids' high school careers. But I want to know, I have a video here for you, and I want you to tell me if my guy is doing something, if he's good or not, because we don't have enough umpires in high school, and we need new ones, so we need young people to get into umpiring. Let me know how the guy's doing here, but also I want to know more so is he even picks his butt too, so he's got it.
The true ump.
But how can we get younger people into umpiring so that we got them in these games?
Well, that kid right there should be pretty good on the low pitch. And, and for the most part, it's pretty much like everything else. The people that are working high school and Babe Ruth games and all, they're getting chastised by the fans and everything, and they're really brutal. They don't really realize that most of this is just like a avocation. It's not a vocation for somebody, and they don't really understand it. There's a high school in Texas. I forget the little name of the town, but the coach teaches all his kids to be respectful, and he has a day where he has a protocol day where he teaches the kids how to open a door for women, how to be polite to ladies. He actually says you have to understand that the umpire is not going to be right all the time, but you have to respect his authority because he's the only authority of baseball out there. And he actually coaches his kids to be respectful. And I'll never forget my first spring training ever in Major League Baseball. Well, it wasn't Major League Baseball. It was the Detroit Tigers camp. And Steve Ripley, it was like his first plate job ever in a professional game. And this kid from the Tigers struck out and he set his uniform on fire. And so I came in from first base and I was screaming at him. And Mike Fitzpatrick, the third base umpire, came in. He was screaming. So now everything's over and the game ends and we're walking back to the not the stadium, but the barracks where we stayed at Tiger Town, the old barracks. And Ed Catalanis, who was the head of the camp, called every Detroit Tiger to the tower. And you remember the towers where you had the tower in the middle and you had 4 fields going out by the sides. And he started lecturing them on the loudspeaker that you boys are here to try to get a job. Those umpires already have one. And if there's going to be any argument, that's your manager's job. It is not yours. And after that, Steve Ripley was walking on air. He thought it was the greatest thing in the world. But it's hard, and the protocol, when you're into the game and excited to try to do the very best you can, and you feel like the umpire made a mistake, it's hard to hold your emotions. And that's something that you have to learn. I mean, it's hard for young umpires to hold their emotions when they think they're right and they think the player's wrong. So it's a learning process. I'll never forget the best piece of advice I ever got was from an old umpire named Doug Harvey. And he said, don't let them ruin your day. He said, you're doing a good job. And in your worst day, your percentages are going to be better than the players at what you're doing. He said, so if they do something to get out of line, you kick them out. And if they do, he said, don't put up with it. He said, but don't let them ruin your day. Don't get mad. And that was the greatest piece of advice I ever got. And the truth of the matter is, an umpire, no matter if he's in Little League or Babe Ruth League or college or in the big leagues, he has 3 responsibilities. And his first responsibility is to the game of baseball itself. Now, that might not mean the commissioner's office, but the game itself. His second responsibility is to the umpiring profession. And that doesn't necessarily mean the umpires union or the guys you're working with. And your third responsibility is do what you know is morally honest and correct in your heart. And if you do those 3 things in that order, nothing you do will be wrong. Well, unless you kick Mark Burley out of the game, and then your partners will hate you.
So I clearly did not come up with the Tigers because I was not taught that about umpires. I was taught they all suck and they're all wrong all the time. So it's okay.
Yeah. Of course, you didn't come up with the Tigers.
What's the worst or the best? I want the best ejection story / worst story you ever had. You threw out, I don't know how many. You threw out hundreds. I'm sure hundreds of guys. What's the best story you
196.
have? 196.
196.
Okay. 196. What's your best story? I want to hear Joe West's best story.
Well, my best story would be about a situation from a golf tournament. And this is from an old ball player named Ryan Klesko. You remember him?
I do.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Yeah. Well, we invited Ryan Klesko to the Country Golf Classic at Doral Country Club. And it was a classic because we had Mickey Gilley, we had Boxcar Willie, we had Rick Serrate from White Snake, we had Charlie Harrison from Wings, we had Les Dudek from the Allman Brothers, and it was a great golf tournament. They actually had a band the night before. Anyway, and Klesko's running around to all these famous people getting them to autograph his hat. So the baseball season comes about, and then at the end of the year, I get this phone call, and I don't recognize the number. For some reason, I picked it up. And he says, Joe, yeah, Ryan Klesko. Oh, how you doing? He says, I want to take you pheasant hunting. I said, you want to take me pheasant hunting? That's cool. I've never been pheasant hunting. I've been duck hunting, deer hunting, bear hunting, but I've never been pheasant hunting. He says, yeah, there's about 12 of us going to go. I got this place outside of Atlanta. And I said, wait a minute. What 12? And he named off 12 major league ball players. I said, let me get this straight. You want me to walk out in the open field with 12 ball players with shotguns? Have you lost your mind?
I was one of them, by the way. I was one of them.
But some of these ejections are hilarious. Some of them are bad. Some of them, it's just you have to kick them out because what they did is not conducive to, like we said, the spirit of the game, and you have to protect the game first. I kicked out Terry Collins one time because his face was cut in a fight, and he says, "I can't go back to the dugout with this kid." And he kicked me out. Sure, gone. But and then Don Zimmer, he used to get kicked out. Bobby Cox, I threw Bobby Cox out for throwing a batting helmet in the middle of the infield in a World Series game. I thought the player that had struck out threw it, so I fined him. It was Blauser. And the entire Atlanta bench said, he didn't do it, he didn't do it. I said, okay, who did it? And Cox stood up and said, I did it. I said, okay, you're done. So I got kicked out.
Hey,
but yeah.
Joe, so the fan questions all have like a similar theme here. They said, like, Ben Carr goes, what player gave you the most grief through the years? Billy O'Brien, which player and manager did you have the biggest beef with during the game? Riley, who got under your skin the most times where you turned red? Was it a player or coach? So all pretty much the same question. Like, was there public enemy number one over your years for player on the field that just was all over you or making fun of you, you know, maybe trying to pick on the singing career, whatever? And same thing with a manager that was always getting after you. Where you're like, all right, this guy's got no chance with me today.
Well, you forget they don't have the last word. And one of the funniest lines Steve Garvey ever told me, I was yelling at Joe Torre for about 5 minutes. And when I got back to first base, Garvey put his glove over his face and he says, you know, you have the last word whether you take it or not. Just like that. But managers, I had Earl Weaver in 2 games, spring training games. He never finished either one of them. So Earl Weaver's never finished a game I was in. And yet, if you got Earl Weaver on the golf course, he's one of the most pleasant people in the world to play with. We actually invited him to that golf tournament at Doral. He was one of the best celebrities you could have there because he spoke with everybody and he would sign autographs. He'd sign autographs for anybody. And he was a great baseball ambassador. Now, I'll give you another one, Tommy Lasorda. But if you barked at Tommy Lasorda, he'd back down. He'd back off. If you barked at Earl Weaver, he'd come out there like a mad dog. Dick Williams was tough. Dick Williams is tough to deal with. He told us one day at home plate, he said, you know, if I don't care what you call out there, if it goes against me, I'm coming out there. Well, about the 3rd inning, we had an obstruction play. His third baseman didn't get out of the way of the runner in a rundown. He ran right into him, so we called obstruction. Put him on. Here he came. Before he could get to the dirt in the infield, I said, well, you said you were coming out here. And then he called me every expletive in the book, and so I had to throw him in. But you know who else was tough on young umpires was Chuck Tanner. And one of the younger umpires told me one day, he said, you know, he picks on every young umpire that comes up here until you show him that you're not going to listen to it anymore. And after you would show Chuck where your limit was, he was very good. He was one of the nicest people that you'd ever want to meet. And of course, he's probably before all 3 of your guys' time in the big leagues. But he was quite the manager. And ball players. We had a ball player named Milton Bradley one time.
Yeah.
He played. I remember him with the Dodgers, and he'd gotten kicked out about 4 times that year. And Peter Gammons made a statement to the press that we were baiting him. And so I called Peter Gammons. I said, Peter, you can't bait him. If he was a fish, he'd jump in the boat. And I mean, he was that high strung. Adrian Beltre. He used to complain about every pitch, but he was kidding. You know, he'd be at third base and the ball would bounce, and he'd say that ball looks like a strike. And then he'd be batting, the ball would be right down the middle. You call it a strike. He said that's outside, but he was kidding. You know, he would say it didn't matter what you called, it was quite the opposite. And one day I told him, I said, you know, you're a very good ball player, but you are a horse shit umpire.
That's amazing. I love it. Well, Joe, last thing that I want to bounce off you. Automated balls and strikes, I think, is going to happen at some point pretty soon. That's like the next wave here, whether it's like challenges or it's just full on balls and strikes being called, which obviously changes the role of the home plate ump significantly.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think the umpires, I mean, your friends that you worked with for years, will be pissed about that, happy about that? Because it seems like umps eventually were pretty pleased with, say, instant replay review. It takes a little heat off of them, and they can be like, look, I was right, or look, I don't have to be wrong and cost someone a game. Balls and strikes is a lot. So what do you think about it? But also, do you think the umps are like talking about this and like, yeah, sure, that's great, take it off our plate, or they're going, hold on, relax, that's too far?
I think the biggest problem with that, I'll get to that in a minute, but I got to tell you about putting instant replay in. When we first put in instant replay, we had half the umpires didn't want it. And we had to explain to them that the replay guy that's changing this call is your fifth umpire on the field. He's trying to help you, keep you from making a mistake. He's not trying to belittle you for the call you made, because you made the call from your heart when you were on the field. So you got to look at it like he's helping you. He's your extra set of eyes. And it's worked very well. In fact, when we first put in replay, we thought ejections would go down by half. They went up by 10%. And you know why? Because the managers would come out and argue with the replay. So we kicked out a bunch of managers because they argued with the replay. Now, the robotic umpire behind the plate, we're graded on one of those things. We're graded, it was originally called Quest Tech, and now it's the zone evaluation. And we actually took baseball to court, and we beat them in court because we proved it wasn't as completely accurate as they say it is. But the point being that using that system, they grade every umpire on every plate job that he does. Now, the last 2 years that I worked, we didn't have one umpire who graded under 95% behind the plate. So he's the worst umpire we had was missing 5% of his pitches. They've yet to get this machine to miss less than 7%. So what do we do with the pitches that the machine misses? That's what the problem is. You see, you understand what I'm saying? And when an umpire misses a pitch, he calls ball or strike. He calls something. But when that machine misses a pitch, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't track it. And one day I'm working with Andy Fletcher. And Andy had a good game the night before, and he came to me. And, of course, these young guys, they live and die over that machine, how it grades them. And he said, the machine said I missed 6 pitches. I said, I was working at second base. I couldn't see a pitch I could even question. He said, yeah, it said I missed 6 pitches. I said, well, how many did the machine miss? He said, oh, it didn't track 14. I said, so let me get this straight. We're going to use a machine to call balls and strikes that misses twice as many pitches as you do? So
they don't want it then, right? I mean, I would guess.
I think that the umpires. The umpires don't want it in that form. I'm sure they would bend a little bit if you said, okay, we'll call the pitches it doesn't track. But if you think there's pressure on a 3-2 pitch now, let's put that machine in place. And now the 3-2 pitch, the machine doesn't call anything. How much pressure is there now? That's magnified 10 times. Does that make sense? You understand what I'm saying there?
Yeah, but I think, and they keep updating the tech, and you're right, they still haven't gotten it completely straightened out. But I do think it always makes a call. I just think it's still figuring out how to cover everyone's zone.
I just want to know who the umpire was that was the worst. Can we get like initials? Was it like CB?
Here's a funny thing. The guy that had our worst rating was president of the union before me. His name was John Hirschbeck.
I could give you some great John Hirschbeck stories from that. Whoa, baby.
And yet when you put him in the playoff game, he was almost perfect.
Yeah. Him and Mark, him and his brother.
His brother, I worked with his brother, yeah. But when he was in the regular season, his strike zone was great big. And when he got in the playoffs, he called he had one of the better strike zones ever in the playoffs.
He's like an NBA player. He's chilling during the regular season. It's like Robert Ory, right?
Yeah.
I'll chill during the regular season. I'm just going to drill threes, and no one's going to say anything's wrong with my strike zone. That's interesting. He was hyper. You had to get him to focus. That's the thing. You guys are human beings. It's like you had to go to him and say, Hirschbeck, I need you to focus.
Well, and plus there's going to be a lot more scrutiny on his games in the playoffs than there are a game in, say, Tampa Bay in April, and that's really what it amounts to. Your concentration is the biggest thing when you're working home plate. And I tell people all the time, probably the catcher that changed the way all you guys catch today was Bench. Because when Bench came to the big leagues, all the catchers had that little round circle in that big pad, and Bench wouldn't use that glove. He had a hinge in the bottom of his corner of the glove, and he'd catch the ball out in front of him. And he had to catch it out in front of him because he had a size 8 head, and his shoulders are so broad. So if he didn't catch the ball out in front of him, you couldn't see it. And so I think he's the one that really revolutionized how you catch the ball, what they call framing today. But he was quite the ball player. I'll never forget. He was catching one day in Houston, and this guy was yelling at me from the third row, and he was yelling from the first pitch of the game. And about the 5th inning, he yelled and he lost his voice. His voice cracked. The bench turned around and said, "You finally got him."
All right, Joe, we're going to let you go. But before I let you go, I'm going to kick your ass off the show because you kicked me out of that spring training game that one time. But I used to say, you said about John Hirschbeck, I used to say about you. You were horseshit in the regular season, but there were times when you wanted to be a good umpire, you were a good umpire. So get the hell out of here. Go home. And by the way, if you could try on the shirt behind you over your right shoulder, the pink one, I think you would look great in it.
The pink one?
Yeah, the pink one over your right shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, if you look over your shoulder, there's a pink one that would fit perfect.
Yeah, that's my wife's shirt.
Even better.
Awesome.
Joe, get out of here.
Thank you,
gone.
Joe. It was awesome
Take
having
care.
you on.
It was great to see you guys.
Nice, Joe.
You too. Awesome. Joe West, legend. Great storyteller, too.
See, so you guys are obviously younger than I am, but I played like John Hirschbeck, Mark Hirschbeck. I can tell you stories about them calling pitches behind you, and you guys would say, there's no way that happened. We were in spring training one time. My first ever big league spring training game, one of the first ones I was ever in. We're in Sarasota, the Orioles. One of the Hirschbecks is behind me. We're in like the 7th inning. I come in, I'm scared. I'm like, oh no, what's going to happen? Balls are bouncing. Strike, strike. And I'm like, what's going on? And they say, we got a 4:30 tee time. We need to get the hell out of here. Everything's a strike. Tell everyone to swing at every pitch. And the balls are literally strike. Every pitch was a strike.
Did you tell your pitcher?
Of course. But pitchers can't do that. They want to. I'm like, guys, swing at everything. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, he's going to call every pitch.
Wow.
Sure enough, every pitch was a strike. They made their tee time.
That's
John
bad.
was-
That's rigging the game, basically.
It's spring training. Nobody
I know.
cares.
John was
Well,
big into
Joe,
John told me when I had him the first time ever in the big leagues, we were in St. Louis. He was like, if I call the zone, like let's say he calls it this big, he said by the 5th, 6th inning, when it gets tighter, I can tighten my zone up. He said, but by that time, everybody's swinging, everybody knows. He said, I'm not ringing anybody up 0-2, 2-2, anything like that. And for me, it was interesting because I was like, one, he was a super tall umpire. I'd never worked with a tall umpire before. And two, him saying that, it gave me a different view of how guys would call games. What all that stuff's out the window now. But
yeah, I had Joe West. I think Joe West, it was probably my 3rd game in the big leagues. He was behind home plate, and I could have sworn these pitches were outside, calling them strike. Of course, after the game, I go look, and they were off the plate. Well, 2 games later, he's out at second base. I'm playing second base, and he comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, you see those pitches I called the other day on you?" He goes, "Those were off the plate." And I was like, so I'm like, at that point, I'm four games into the big leagues, so I'm like, "Oh, okay, thank you, sir, you know." And he's like, "But He's like, how long have you been here? And I was like, 5 days, 4 days, 5 days. He goes, I've been here for 78 years or however long he's been here. So I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me, man? Like, I'm going to have to deal with that, you know? But, you know, it's just part of it.
That's the human element that some fans just die
There's so
for.
many good umpire stories.
Human element.
Especially before all the Quest Tech and all that.
Right.
I could go on for hours about some of the funny stuff I heard.
We're well into extra innings though on FT.
I know.
So,
we have other days.
We're on every damn day. So let's run through two things I want to do on the BetMGM side. First off, updated odds. I just want to hit on, let's pick 3 categories here. Let's start with, I want to do AL Cy Young if we can, and show Garrett Cole leading the pack right now, odds leader, plus 600, quietly putting together a great
Really
season. And last year, obviously, the numbers are good. He strikes guys out, but he was giving up a ton of homers. Ball's flying this year, and he's kept the baseball in the ballpark. There we go. Odds presented by BetMGM, AL Cy Young. Dylan Cease.
I'm riding my boy Cease out. I'm riding my boy Cease out. I know Garrett Cole, but Dylan Cease is off to a good start too now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm riding him out.
If Kevin Gossman wins, he's the biggest liability. He would cost the book.
Yeah, he won't win. He plays in a bandbox.
That's true.
I don't know. McClanahan with the Rays. I watched him pitch last night against the Red Sox. I don't know how anybody hits him. He walked. I think he walked a lot of guys. He walked a few guys, but that guy, he's probably a sneaky Cy Young candidate too.
AJ did a motion here. We got some pitchers that are just.
Remember Dylan Cease was. Dylan Cease. Garrett Cole was the big one. They were all saying
Manoah
it was a
threw
joke.
him out.
It was a joke.
Not threw him
that
out.
Dude's filthy.
Remember Manoah called him out. What was it, last offseason?
Yeah, a couple people have said things about
as
him.
if Garrett Cole's the only one too.
Yeah, relax. Come on.
Most of the league.
Garrett Cole's not the only guy using sticky stuff. I can tell you that.
Hell yeah, he's just kind of admitting it.
Yeah. Kratz, who you got? I want to know who Kratz has.
For Cy Young?
Yeah.
Oh, me and Scotty, we both got McClanahan.
Yeah, we're riding
here's
McClanahan.
Here's the problem with that.
Oh, there we go. I'm throwing in a sneaky pick. I mean, he's not sneaky. He started the All-Star game last year, but you guys already got him. Guys got him locked in.
Well, that's our 3-0 pick. Who was your pick, Brock? You put out your predictions. Who did you pick?
Well, I just said McClanahan's is a sneaky pick. You already guys got him. I'm gonna do my research. I'm gonna come with a different pick.
Okay. You come back. Yeah.
Here's the thing about Rays
guys. I did pick. Who did I pick on the actual thing? I can't remember who I picked.
Look it up while we're chatting, and we'll find
National League. Yeah, National League. What American League?
American
Cy Young.
League Cy. Yeah, we're going hard on McClanahan. Oh, you had Chris.
Oh yeah, I picked Chris Sale. I picked my buddies. I picked Chris Sale for
what?
AL Cy Young. Yeah. Listen,
he picked every Red Sox because I remember I was like,
huge homer. Rich Hill's going to win the National League Cy Young.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Listen, I'm going to be rich. I've already placed the bet. I'm going to be rich.
Yeah, you're going to be something, all right.
Rich
You're broke.
You're going to be rich with love from your former teammates.
Absolutely.
McClanahan, though, the problem for me is he doesn't pit. The Rays always put guys on the IL, and there's always.
Yeah, but if you miss a couple starts,
he doesn't go. He'll go. The Rays are famous for 5 and dive. I don't know. I know Snell won it there, special year, but I just have a hard time with a Rays pitcher winning an award like that.
Okay, fine. We'll see what happens. Kratzy and me are riding.
Let's go, Dylan. Ride that mustache, baby.
Let's go. Otani's the odds leader for AL MVP. I think the other interesting one I want to cover here is NL MVP. So let's cue that one up. Ronald Acuna Jr. is the current favorite at plus 500. Look at Kratzy shaking his head. What's wrong with Acuna Jr.? His legs are back, dude. He was playing on one leg last year.
He was playing on one leg, but he stole 24 bases. He was playing unmotivated last year. If you tell me he's motivated this year, then I'll feel that. Like last year, you'd go to a game. I called 6 or 8 of their games. I'm not sure with the Phillies. There was plays he didn't even move. Like plays where he needed to back up his center fielder because they had him in right. Didn't even move. Like even in that playoff game with the inside the Parker from JT, he moved once the ball got past Michael Harris after it caromed off that corner wall there. You know that jets out in Philly, but. I don't know, man. Like maybe his legs are back. Maybe because he hurt last year, it was there. he's got to be motivated. You got to motivate the guy. Now, if you tell me he's an NL MVP candidate when he's a free agent here in 2 years, then I'd believe it.
Can I read this from last year? Because especially late in the season, he said he was battling knee soreness. Quote, "It's terrible. We're just going to play through it until the season's over." He said it was the worst when he was hitting. Confidence is still there. Sometimes I don't want to rotate because I don't know if my knee will let me. It was a big topic last year. You're not buying that?
I go by what I heard from people that watched him play every single day, or lack of. I mean, do you say that at the beginning of the year, or did he say that at the end of the year?
A little bit of both, but more towards the end. But here's the thing I've heard from some good sources. He has low pain tolerance, which is okay. I'm okay with that.
What kind of sources do you have on pain tolerance levels?
A good one.
Good ones.
Good sources on pain tolerance.
Is it like a massage person, a doctor?
I'm just saying, like, something will bother him more than others. You can actually see it. How many games have we watched, including there multiple times, I think even in the playoffs last year, like, gets hit by a pitch, and he'll take, like, 15 minutes.
Well, that's just...
I don't know if that's I'm not knocking that.
I don't know if that's low pain tolerance or milking it for the camera. He's a showman.
One and the same.
He's a showman.
One and the same.
He's a showman. There's a little bit of everyone look at me, I got hit by the pitch trick going on there.
Because we're past 3 o'clock, I'm not going to tell my story about Ronald Acuna the first time I ever met him, because I played with his dad. So I met Junior when he was 10, I think. Oof. But I won't tell the story because I don't want to push the limits.
I have a game tonight.
You do
on Brock's day.
I'm putting it down. Then you're gonna have to tell it tomorrow.
Okay. Fair.
Let's do picks then. Let's run through picks. We'll recap yesterday, and then we'll give our BetMGM picks of the day. We had a pretty good day yesterday as a group, as a collective group.
Good
so
job,
first
boys.
off, let's recap Tuesday's locks. Todd Father's not here, but he picked run line for the Blue Jays. They smacked the Tigers. Good dub for Todd Father. Kratzy, Twins let you down on the hook, huh?
On the hook again. That's okay. I'm hunting. I'm hunting for the flag. I just haven't made a hole in one yet. I've had 2 bad hooks that have gotten me recently. I'm okay with that. Minnesota just couldn't push another run for me, but that's okay.
AJ and me had a collab bet, and it was a huge win. And it was stressful, by far my most stressful bet of the year. So Rangers are up a run. Then I'm rooting
for them to score.
Royals
to score.
And they did.
Yes.
The Royals score. Then we go to extras.
Then I went to bed because I'm like, darn it, we lost.
I'm here for you. Exactly. Royals score in extras, take a 1-run lead. Jonah Heim, 3-run jack.
Huge fan of Jonah Heim right now.
Go. I was going nuts. I jumped.
I woke up to a text from Scott, what a freaking win. And I was like, wait, we won?
That is how you make a Rangers-Royals game incredible.
It is true. Now I get why you guys are
Thank you.
betters.
Money bags, please. AJ catching up. 3-4 down 270.
Oh, I'm about to pass Kratz after today.
Todd Father's hot too. 4-1 up 550. Dinner on Todd soon. Kratzy down 225.50. 4-5. 8-1 up 695 for me. And you and me get to go last for an obvious reason. I think Brockstar needs to lead off today. Your locks of the day presented by BetMGM. Brockstar making his debut, rookie first.
Lock of the day for me is the Texas Rangers over the Royals. Got Nathan Eovaldi on the mound. That's my guy. Royals aren't going to touch him. I think their whole lineup is hitting under 200, which is not a bad thing because that's the last two years of my career. That's about where I was. But Rangers, I think 1.5. They're going to win by 2 at least. Go ahead and lock that one in.
That's plus 120. So Hundo to win 120.
It's weird. He picked a guy, his boy. He picked Sale to win the MVP.
Listen, man. Hey, listen. We've gone over the fact that I'm new to this whole betting thing, so I'm learning. But we're gonna get those numbers up. I'm gonna be up there around where Scott's at 8-1, 9-1. Just call me the Tampa Bay Rays of this show.
That's what Scott thought, and then he lost, and then he all changed.
We all come back down to earth eventually.
Yeah.
Kratzy, how you getting back on the winning side?
Well, first of all, there's nothing wrong with hitting 200 or below 200. That was my career numbers, Brock. So welcome to the show. Not just my last 2 years, all my years. I got the Phillies Run line -1.5. You know I love that plus 105. I'm going to put 200 down to win myself 210. The Phillies are running out old Zach with a K, so it's a stronger Zach than with an H out there. He's 10-4 with a 2.41 ERA with I almost went to strikeout. I almost went to K prop, but I didn't because he's only averaging 1 strikeout an inning, and I'm afraid he's only going to make it 6 innings. But the ERA is there. He's only ever had 1 blow up against the Marlins, so I'm looking for the Phillies to score about 5 or 6 against Cabrera and win this one about 6-2, 6-3.
We're all going run lines today. So AJ and me did not collab.
No, but
we did collab.
I put it in first, though.
I don't care. That's fine. I'm fine to be friends. Okay. Hey, we won together yesterday.
True.
But we were talking about it. This time around, AJ's like, "Oh, what did you pick?" And I told him, and he's like, "Damn, dude, that's what I picked."
No, I was like, "You son of a bitch! Quit tailing me."
That's fine. I'm fine.
Because Claudia texted us for our locks of the day, and I said,
Jay's run line, which is
run
2.5, and it's at plus odds. It's plus 110. I'm going a hundo to win 110.
I'm going 200.
200.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think Gosman's going to go out there. He's going to throw that split change thingy, whatever he throws. Go boom boom. They're not going to be able to hit it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we talked about the bandbox. That is Blue Jays Stadium, Rogers Center. They're just going up there flicking balls out.
I thought about going with the over, but I'm worried that this could be
8-0.
Yeah, I was
agree.
worried about that because the run total is 8.5. Yeah, Gosman hasn't allowed an earned run in 2 starts. They're going to ride him too. The bullpen went 5 shutout innings yesterday for Toronto. They're going to
Manoah struggled
a little bit
early.
Yeah, he struggled early. Eduardo Rodriguez, 10 innings, 7 earned runs, 4 walks, 3 homers. Tigers bullpen looks terrible. They lost Joe Jimenez and Gregory
super
Soto
right-hand heavy.
The Blue Jays.
The Blue Jays are super right. I got Vlad going deep. I got all kinds of.
That's why he called a lock. Tigers offense trash, but we need a win by 3 runs or more.
I got 7-1.
7-1. Okay, cool.
That scared me off with the 2.5. I got scared of that. But what I did love, because we can't pick any early games, I did love right before the game or right in the first inning, Houston got a little bump in the money line for the run line. So I did a little live bet at when it was 0-0, and we're at a 7-0 now. So appreciate you, MGM.
Cha-ching.
There you go. Cash in. And for everyone else, call your shot Wednesdays. Let's do it. So for existing BetMGM sports users, BetMGM players who place a $25 anytime MLB home run prop bet wager get a $10 bonus bet to use on any MLB game. 3 steps to do it. Log in to the app on iOS or Android. Opt in to the MLB Call Your Shot Wednesdays. Place a wager, either pregame or live wager, either one, in the amount of at least $25 on any MLB game, and you get a bonus $10 bet to use on any MLB game. Always bet responsibly. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Vlad, my AL MVP.
That's your pick?
Vlad. Yeah,
Vlad to homer today?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to tell that too then. Slap hands time. Let's hit it. Oh, I've been told to just go. Thank you.
We all
slap hands. Slap hands.
So I have two things I want to cover for slap hands. One is more serious and one's whatever. Edwin Diaz spoke for the first time since the injury, and he said, if everything goes well, I think I can be back quicker than 8 months. I might throw this year. Mets fans are freaking out again. Got to make the playoffs first, but
we'll see.
He's thinking about October.
See. Take it slow.
He doesn't want to though, and he's in a contract too, so the concern level could change a little bit.
Yeah, but take it slow. Be ready.
Yeah, but if the Mets are in the playoffs and Verlander and Scherzer are feeling it, here's the tweet from Tim Britton, who covers the team. If everything goes well, think I'm back quicker than 8 months. Might throw this year. Brock, if you were teammates with Edwin, aren't you checking up on him pretty frequently? If the team's in playoff range, like, hey, dude, how's it going? When are we seeing you?
I mean, obviously, you want to have him out there. I mean, he's unhittable when he is. So, yeah, like, if you can get back, get back. But, I mean, you tear your ACL and blow your knee up like he did, or it's, take your, like AJ said, take your time, make sure you're healthy, because you don't want that thing to keep hurting, keep bothering you. And I don't know what leg was it? Is it push-off leg or his plant leg?
It was left, wasn't it? Left patellar?
I don't know. It was a patella tendon.
I thought it was left.
I think it's left.
It was left. Yeah, it was land leg.
So his land leg. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, you got to make sure that thing's right.
Kratz hats, take over.
I'm going to go back to another rehab assignment. These are all brand new hats because I obviously didn't wear them, but anybody?
The Fist? The Fury?
Brock
Wayne?
might have.
That's the Reading Fighting Phils.
Yeah, the Reading Fighting Phils. An absolute electric place to watch a game. Before the Savannah Bananas, there's the Reading Phils.
Not if you played in the old
baseball.
stadium. Not if you played in the old stadium. It was a hellhole.
Great place to hit too.
It's the same stadium.
Oh, that place sucked. Dude, the lockers weren't wide enough. You couldn't put your shoes next to each other. You had to stack them on top of each other.
Listen, Old Man River, I played there. Absolutely. It was like
Still the
this big.
same crappy stadium?
Yeah, it's a crappy stadium, but the place is electric.
I mean, you're just describing every minor league stadium.
No.
Yeah,
At least
AJ.
most stadiums,
Like-
your locker was wide enough you could put your shoes next to each other. Reading, you had to stack them on top of each other because they didn't fit.
That's what made
side.
it great.
Yeah.
That's what made it
The only
great.
thing that made Reading cool was they had a soda machine in the locker room where you could
Oh, that's
get your
healthy.
Coke. That was it.
Yes, they
Well-
did, and they had no space for anything else.
No,
It was built at a time when people had really tiny feet.
apparently small enough that you couldn't put your shoes next to each other.
No, you wore your cleats to the game then. You didn't have to
Yes.
put shoes in. You wore your whole uni to the game.
Hey, shout out to Jordan Walker. I have to do it every show until he doesn't log a hit in a game. So it's 11. And lastly, can we show the Phil Nevin dressing?
The fake plant like you?
I didn't get to cover it with him on the show. He had so much to do with Phil Nevin, but I just wanted to make sure we had a screenshot of Phil Nevin dressing up his camera shot. You make fun of
His is
Kratzy.
broken, though. His is broken plant.
Yeah, broken plant.
Should I
but
go
it's
back
still
there
a
and
plant.
break your plant?
No, don't
Don't.
break my. I'm not saying that Phil's doing everything right. I'm just saying like he's trying, and ours is better. But
Okay.
you were making fun of Kratzy because he had nothing behind him. I give you here it is. I give you a plant right here,
Yeah.
and Phil Nevin's on the same page as me, and also I can defend myself and say whatever I want because if you have a problem, Phil Nevin will kick your ass and everyone else's. He's stronger than everyone, according to you guys. So
And
I'm not-
Eating rocks the whole time.
You can't break that plant either, AJ, because Scott's taking it back 89 days after he bought it.
True.
My
No,
rules.
I'm not like that. That's you guys. I don't do that. I give what's the rich place I bought it from? I give IKEA their money. They can
Rich
keep it.
place.
Rich plant. Eat some Swedish meatballs.
Yes.
Exactly. Brockstar, did you have fun?
That was fun. Yeah, that was fun.
Dude, you kept us way too long.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah,
by
that's-
far the longest show we've ever had. By far.
Well, we had some people that could talk.
We did.
We had some talkers.
We'll do it again soon with you, Brock. Awesome having you on, man.
Hey, Brock, good luck in the marathon this
Oh,
weekend.
yes.
Yeah,
Oh
Boston Marathon.
yeah, Monday.
I
Here
want
we
to know
go.
your time. I need your time, bro.
Run fast. Take chances.
Yep. No.
Take the subway like the girl did in New York.